All right, we get the Krueg show going. Larry Kruger and Dan Coach Amelia. Where is the band? Where's the band? There we go. The band gets a night off, but not for a few seconds. Hope everybody had a great Thursday as we come to you on a relatively chilly night in the Bay Area after Thursday night football. I lost my wager tonight because I went with the college football game. I went with the over, and I've been going with the under. But this one, all the recommendations were go with the over, and I went with Memphis against Tulsa, and I parlayed Memphis to the over, and I got Memphis, but I didn't get the over.
I don't know what it is, Larry, but I'm on a roll right now with my last 8 or 9 wagers. I'm 100%. You know it's going right for you when the over-under in the tonight's Atlanta Falcons Carolina Panthers game was 41.5. It ends up at 40. The kicker for the Falcons had made 71 consecutive PATs, and he missed 2 tonight. So
wow.
So he made it 73 straight. It would have been 42, and I would have lost my bet. So thank you to the Falcons kicker. What is his name? Yu or something?
Young Hung Ko or something like that.
Something like that. I got to look up his
Young Ho Koo.
Yeah, Al Michaels. He goes and Koo knocks it through on one of his field goal attempts tonight.
He was 0 for 2 on extra points, 1 for 1 on field goals.
I know.
Wow.
Oh gosh.
Man, you are living right. You're living right.
Yeah.
So if your Thursday night football goes to the Carolina Panthers in the Yuck Bowl, 25-15, the NFC South highlighted on Thursday night football. My kid looks at me and is like, poor Al Michaels. And I'm like, well, not poor Al Michaels. Al Michaels, I'm sure, got a king's ransom to do these Thursday night games. But Thursday night's got some dog meat games. And even when you get good matchups, they're usually teams with a bunch of guys resting, and it's just never quite. It's just always a letdown. Thursday night football is a total letdown.
And I understand they want to get away from Friday night competing against the high schools and Saturday with colleges, so the only logical night is Thursday. But these games, giving NFL players 3 days rest, and it's just ridiculous. You talk about a league of caring about the players' health, and then you stick them out there. It takes 2 to 3 days minimum just to recover after you played an intense game. And then they're back out there, no wonder these games are crappy. But
by the way, what a commitment to the run by Carolina tonight.
Yeah.
PJ Walker, 10 of 16. So he threw 16 passes. They ran 47 times for 232 yards, 4.9 a clip.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that is committing to the run game. Dante Foreman, 31 carries for 130 yards and a touchdown. They gave a couple carries to Laviska Shenault, 6 to Raheem Blackshear, 3 runs from PJ Walker, Chuba Hubbard, 5 carries for 14 yards.
Oh, they look
Carolina
horrible.
ran it.
Yeah, and Mariota was, the ball, they were throwing balls that there should have been like 4 or 5 picks in this game tonight. Balls went right through guys' hands. I know it was raining and stuff. I think they were just throwing them right to them. So it was tough to watch, but I don't know. What do you think can be done on that? Do you think there's an alternative to Thursday nights if you want to get an extra? I mean, maybe you give the 2 teams a bye the week before or something. Set up the schedule that they get a bye.
I'll tell you what I would do is I would try to, to me, I don't know. I wouldn't mind a few more games on Saturdays, but the Thursday night thing just never has worked.
Yeah,
it just never worked. It's just never been good. It doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like there's any real upside. Just talking to the players this week, the Niner players in the locker room about the bye week and what it does to their body and how it freshens them up, so on and so forth. It's pretty clear that it's meaningful. And to then, this is the opposite of the bye week. The bye week gives them extra time to rest. This is 2 games in what, 5 days, something like
Yeah.
that. So I mean,
4
I don't know.
days.
I mean,
Yeah, I
it's
mean, I
not.
really think you
If
could
they had bigger
schedule it.
rosters, it'd be one thing. But
Yeah. Well, maybe they should do something like with baseball, where baseball, when they have these double headers, they're allowed to increase their roster up a couple. Maybe if you've got a Thursday night game, maybe you should be able to carry, instead of 40 suiting up. What are they allowed to suit up? 48, 47, 48?
48 on game day.
Yeah, why
There's
not
a
let them suit
53
up
man
all?
roster.
Let them suit up all 53 on Thursday nights. Why not? Or even push it to 55. Let these guys have their bodies rest. Or, another alternative to that is,
I don't know if that changes the competition when you change the number of people that you can use. That changes the strategy of the game.
yeah.
I don't know if I
The
want
other
to do
way
that.
to do it is start Thursday night, maybe after 3-4 weeks, have a bye set up. 2 teams have a bye on the previous Sunday. They don't play again till the following Thursday, and then they get like 10, 11 days of rest, and they get another 10 days, and you do that for every team. Let every team play Thursday night, make it fair.
Yeah. I mean, if anybody has a great idea for how the NFL can still, get their money and eliminate Thursday nights, throw it in the chat. I'd love to hear some ideas, because it's not good football. We all love football? Yeah. Do we want more of it? Yeah. But do we want, this low caliber of football? No. And it's just, I don't know. It to me, you can't really talk about player safety and then throw these guys into another game like this. Personally, I'd love to see the NFL kind of change their whole mindset and increase the number of games, but increase the number of players. You see college football. I mean, they have a larger roster. I mean,
Yeah, I know.
why couldn't the pros have a larger roster? Why couldn't the pros, right now you have fairly large practice squads, but there's stringent rules on promoting guys on and off the practice squad. What if you kind of eased the restrictions on that and allowed teams to basically have, gigantic taxi squads that they easily promoted players to without restriction, up and down every week? And then essentially you'd be increasing the rosters from, right now it's 53 with a 16-man practice squad. What if you got it to 53-man rosters with a 22-man practice squad, and allowed, liberal exchanges from the active roster to the practice squad back and forth? So you essentially had, on game day, the same looking size roster, but you're drawing from a pool of 75 players. Like right now, you've guys on the practice squad, and there's guys walking around the locker room, but there's rules about it, right? You
Right.
can only bring a guy off the practice squad so many times, and then other people can poach guys from your practice squad, and so on and so forth. What if you got rid of the poaching and said, you know what? We're going to have 75-man rosters. We're still going to have 20-plus man practice. We're still going to have big practice squads. We're going to increase them from 16 to 22. But you're not going to be able to pick guys off other teams' practice squad. Or maybe you can do it like once a year or something, something where it was equitable. And so you basically had guys who were on the 49er practice squad practicing with the Niners, knowing their schemes, ready to play at any time. And you had, yes, you were playing 20 games, let's say, but you're playing 20 games, and your 53-man roster comes from a 75-man, organizational roster, let's call it. You have your 75-man roster, and then you have your 53-man game day roster, or 48-man game day roster. I don't know. Something like that would make sense.
I'd like to see it 53. Yeah, go with the 75, 22, and
you increase the practice squad, and then just make it so you can't, so you don't lose those players left and right.
Yeah, they've got so much money, it's unbelievable. It
Ashley
really is.
says, Larry, you look cold. I am cold. Are you kidding me? I'm very cold. I'm out here in my studio, and it's probably 35 degrees. My wife's
Oh,
like,
man.
"Hey, do you want me to go with the space heater? You know, because normally I've done shows out here, but during the day in the wintertime, I've never really done them at night.
Yeah, at 10
And
o'clock.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
it's downright chilly in Northern
yeah,
California. It'll
you
get
need.
worse in January.
Oh,
I'll be
yeah.
out here. You'll be able to see my breath.
Yeah. You need one of those space heaters out there. Yeah.
I know, seriously. I never,
Yeah.
I have, in the summertime, I got the fan, but as far as the space heater, I haven't gone with the space heater yet.
There
But
you
yeah,
go.
I'm wrapped up. I got the scarf underneath.
Always.
I got the scarf underneath.
You just need the Vince Lombardi hat now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm freezing back here. All right, we're going to get into a bunch of things during this live stream. You tune in saying, "What are you talking about?" I know you tease Niners. All right, so Niners are coming out of the bye. We were down in Santa Clara today. We're hopefully Rye's going to join the mix. We'll play one or two of the interviews that we've done over the last couple of days from inside the locker room. So we got that coming up. Niners and Chargers go Sunday Night Football on national TV. Justin Herbert and the boys roll in. No Joey Bosa. I don't believe Mike Williams is going to go. Keenan Allen's been nursing a hammy most of the year. Chargers do not run the ball or stop the run, but they do have Austin Eckler. They do have Justin Herbert. They do have a pretty good roster. They did beat the Falcons last week in Atlanta, that same Falcon team that beat the 49ers a few weeks ago in Atlanta. So don't take the Chargers lightly, but I think this is a game the 49ers can win and should win. What do you think, Danny? You think the Niners get the win Sunday night?
I do. I mean, I think they're coming off of a bye. I know they don't have a great record coming off of a bye, but they've got some new injected life with McCaffrey. Now Debo's coming back. I read where Jimmy G says he's pretty excited. It's kind of like pick your poison with all the weapons that are there. Mitchell's going to be back. Shair's back. Who else is back?
Greenlaw's back.
Yeah, and Juszczyk is back too.
Juszczyk,
yeah,
Debo.
So you got all these guys coming back, and then you're without Chargers without Williams and Keenan Allen, like I said, and Joey Bosa on the defense. If the Niners can't win this, they have some serious issues to deal with because they should be able to put them away.
Well, I mean, it's the same 49er team that lost to the Broncos.
Oh, I know,
the Bears,
exactly.
The Falcons.
But so I mean, if you can't,
anything can happen.
You can't afford to keep losing though now because Seattle is doesn't seem to be looking like they're going to lose for a while. I mean, they could lose Sunday, who knows? But you can't count on that.
No, and the Niners have to go back to Seattle. Mr. Norcal says Elijah Mitchell healthy. Talk to him today. Says he's ready to roll.
Yeah, so I saw that little piece.
Elijah Mitchell, I think, is going to be a key guy for the 49ers down the stretch. We've been talking so much about McCaffrey. Nobody really has mentioned anything about Elijah Mitchell. Elijah Mitchell's a really good running back.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think.
Yeah.
And you got him, and so that's a significant addition. So we'll get into a lot on the Niners, and if people have some thoughts on Thursday Night Football, feel free to jump in the chat. We're going to talk a little bit about free agency. It began today.
Yes.
Did anybody sign, Danny?
I've heard Kershaw is looking like he's going to sign a one-year deal with the Dodgers. Is what
I was hoping Boch and the Rangers would go after him.
I know. Yeah, there was somebody.
And somebody said
out
they
a
were
fake
going
report. You got to be careful with Twitter. I think it was Bob Nightingale report, a fake Twitter account that said he signed 1 year for $25 million with the Rangers. It's like looked it up a little closer, and it's like, yeah, that's fake.
Ken Rosenthal of the Athletic is reporting the Dodgers are closing in on a 1-year deal to bring Kershaw back.
Right.
The Dodgers, I guess, decided against giving him the qualifying offer, but they wanted to let him decide his own future. He spent his entire 15-year career with them, and we don't know what the financial terms, but it should land somewhere around $19.6 million, they're saying, that he would have been guaranteed with the qualifying offer. So that deal, sounds like Kershaw wants to stay with the Dodgers. Not a shocker there. The
Right.
Pirates acquired J-Man Choi from the Rays for a right-handed pitcher named Jack Hartman. G-Man Choi in Pittsburgh. He's 31, hit 233 with 11 bombs last year. Right. What else? Cubs outrighted Franmil Reyes. Dodgers declined Justin Turner's $16 million option. So he gets the $2 million buyout, and he's a free agent. The Dodgers have that kid, Miguel Vargas, and they've got Chris Taylor and Edwin Rios, all can play third. So that's.
But maybe the big news of the week is Farhan picked up Dom Nunez off the waiver wire from the Rockies, a catcher.
Dom Nunez?
Yeah, and follow that up with another catcher today off waivers from the Rangers, Melbreeze Villalora, and also picked up a pitcher off waivers from the Rangers. So Drew Strotman. So 3 big acquisitions for the Giants made in the last 48 hours, and Farhan is controlling that back into the 40. But I've got plus 800 that at least one of these 3 guys will be moved off of the 40 and DFA'd within 10 days. Anybody want to take that?
Exactly. Mr. Norcal says Dom Nunez is my boy. Oh, so there you go.
He's actually from Elk Grove High School. So
that's right. I saw that.
Yeah, he's from Elk Grove along with JD Davis. So maybe
they can get that who's the outfielder for the Cardinals? Carlson.
Oh, is he from there?
Dylan Carlson. Carlson's Elk Grove.
Yeah.
Maybe Rowdy Tellez. Isn't Rowdy?
Hey, you know who the first great athlete to come out of Elk Grove was? Most famous great athlete?
No.
When I was growing up in high school, ended up playing. You'll get it if I give you a hint. He was the big recruit for USF basketball in the late 70s.
Quentin Daly?
No, played for the Bulls. Won some titles.
Bryant?
No.
I don't know.
Bill Cartwright.
Yeah,
Elk Grove High School. Yeah.
Well, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, Bill Cartwright. Yeah, he was like the number 1 recruit in all the nation, and then the USF.
Didn't they trade Cartwright for Oakley?
I think so. He was with the Knicks. Cartwright, yeah. And then they also that USF team signed James Hardy. I think it was James Hardy and Winford Boynes were the big 3, and USF went like 32-0, was number 1 in the nation, and then just got routed by UNLV in the tournament.
In the tournament,
yeah.
3 moves today that I think should be of interest to Giants fans. I'll give them to you. The Rays declined their $13 million club option on Kevin Kiermaier. So they give him a $2.5 million buyout, and he moves into free agency. Now, he only played in 63 games.
Was he hurt?
And then he had surgery in August to repair a torn labrum in his left hip.
Oh, okay.
But they're saying he's questionable for opening day, and that obviously is going to impact his market.
That fits in with Farhan.
32-year-old center fielder is a really good defensive player. And they're looking for – the Giants are a disaster defensively. They have to get better in center field. Who can they get? Kiermaier might be the best defensive center fielder out there.
Well, my number 1 choice is Brandon Nimmo, the Mets. I do see some publications out there predicting. Sports Illustrated had 4 guys predicting where they thought players would go. Very interesting take on some of these, because all 4 guys. Let me pull it up here. It was MLB Trade Rumors. And it was the top 50 free agents with predictions. And on the number 1 was Aaron Judge, and all 4 guys picked the Yankees.
For how much money, they say?
They said 8 years, 332 is what they're projecting. 332.
That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing, 8 years, $320 million, something like that.
Now
maybe
check
40 a year for 8 years. I think if the Giants are going to get him, I think they're going to have to go, 10 years, 400 million.
Yeah, pretty close. Yeah,
Which I would do. I
yeah,
would do if
yeah.
I were them.
The second free agent on the board in the top 50 is Carlos Correa, 9 years, 288 million. 3 of the 4 guys say the Giants.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And then it goes to the third one is Trey Turner. They're saying
a lot of people are saying he's going to the Phillies.
Yeah, 2 guys said the Phillies, 1 said the Dodgers, 1 said the Giants. 4th guy, Bogarts, interesting. 2 of the 4 guys said the Dodgers. 5, Dansby Swanson. They're saying 7 years, 154. Rodon is the 6th pick, and none of them are picking the Giants. It seems like he's pretty much gone. And, I don't know why Farhan. See, to me, Farhan could have either added at the break and tried to go for it if he thought the team could compete, or sell off and get some great prospects. And they're going to get a pick that's going to be the 75th pick in the draft next year, which will probably take 4 or 5 years to see him. And if we see him, versus trading him off, and they probably could have got a top 50 prospect in all of baseball. I mean, they could have turned it into somebody that could have been ready to come up within the next year or 2 at the most. And,
by the way, we teased in this live stream that Jordan Elliott was going to join us, and Jordan's doing some things. He's going to join us during the live stream, but probably not he's probably going to join us more like in about a half hour from now, bottom of the hour. So,
okay.
So people like I saw MF in the chat says, love when Jordan Elliott comes on. We do too. And Jordan's got some things going on, but he is going to join us right around 10:30. I think he's going to jump in on the live stream.
Cool.
Okay. So we got the Giant front. Somebody suggested this one today, that if the Giants didn't get Judge. By the way, did you see that Dibbs and Willard on 95.7 The Game did their show from Linden today?
I did. I was watching it on YouTube. It was pretty funny.
Awesome.
I actually called in.
So awesome.
I actually
did you called in?
Yeah, I said, "Hey, this is Dan from Arizona. I'm on the YouTube show with Larry, your colleague Larry." And I said, my point today was, hey, if Judge does sign with New York, nothing the Giants can do about that. Why not go after both Trey Turner and Carlos Correa and have a dynamite up the middle infield?
Yeah. Now, was that you? I had heard that rumor thrown out today.
That was me. I don't know if I started it or I didn't hear it from anybody else. So
the only thing is you're going to pay Trey Turner all that money and play him at second?
Sure. You know what? Trey Turner can actually play center field too. He's so fast. He used to play a lot out there with the Nationals.
That seems almost like a waste of his talent. I mean, to play him in the outfield at all.
Not in center field. He's so quick, and he's got a lot of range. The other thing is, next year, with the shift being eliminated, you need a guy with a lot of range athletically that can, go into the hole or up the middle, backhand. You're going to need that. So second base it's going to be very similar to shortstop, back like it used to be. You're just going to have to, adjust. But I could also see Correa being, used as a third baseman because he seems a little bit bigger. I don't know. Heck, figure it out. It's a good problem to have, 2 great guys. I mean,
no question. Jaguayo says, Krug, if Rodon leaves, what would the rotation be? Well, it would be without Rodon losing an ace. I mean, you know what it would be. It would be Logan Webb and Alex Cobb and Alex Wood and then DeSclafani. And then what? Sean Jelly. Who else?
I don't see Sean.
Sean Jelly pitched kind of well at the end of the year.
Okay.
He had a couple good starts.
I see.
I'm not sure.
What do we got? We got the.
Okay, so this is what it would be. It would be Alex Cobb. That's 1. DeSclafani's 2.
Webb.
Which is you got Junis.
Yeah, Webb.
So that's 3.
Logan Webb.
Logan Webb is 4. And that would be it right now, except for Alex Wood would be 5.
5, and
So
then you got Kyle Harrison coming up
you
probably
got
in
Kyle
June,
Harrison.
probably around June, May,
And so
June.
my here's what I would do. I would absolutely 100% would not pay Carlos Rodon 5 years and 20 million plus. Just wouldn't do it.
No,
Nothing
he's
against
gonna.
him, but I need the pitcher that I'm paying $20 million to has to be a homegrown guy that puts butts in the seats, who's incredibly durable. That's what I'm looking for in a $20 million pitcher. Otherwise, I'd rather shop at the $10 million a year aisle. I'd rather take the money that I would have paid Rodon, and I would rather give, go after Sean Manaea, the lefty from the Padres, who, Farhan knows, I'm sure, from his days with the A's. And then the other one, I mentioned before, there were player headlines that should impact the Giants, and I read the one on Kiermaier, but the other one is the Mets today decided against giving Taijuan Walker a $19.6 million qualifying offer. This is according to John Heyman in the New York Post.
Yeah.
They will be giving qualifying offers to DeGrom, Chris Bassett, and Brandon Nimmo. But Walker, who is 12,
that's a guy you go get. No,
I love
qualifying
Walker.
offer. Yeah,
12-5, 3.49 ERA.
He pitched great in San Francisco too. That's a guy you should go sign.
And he's a horse. He's a big kid. He throws mid-90s. He's healthy. Give me Sean Manaea and Taijuan Walker for the money that I was going to pay Carlos Rodon.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the idea of I do think.
And also, guess what? Because they did not offer him the qualifying offer, if you sign him, you don't have to cough up the draft pick.
Right. Yeah. So I would definitely
go
after
cares
Walker.
A lot about that. In fact, before you jump in, Danny, according to Jeff Passan, the biggest surprise today was that the Giants offered Jock Peterson a qualifying offer. And he, he settled for a 1-year deal worth $7 million and then $6 million as a free agent over the last 2 off seasons. Now he's going to have the opportunity to make 19.6 to stay with the Giants in 2023. I can't imagine he's going to turn it down. So what did you think of that? I mean,
if he does
turn it down, the Giants get a draft pick if he signs somewhere else. So that's the good news.
Yeah, I think you make a good move because, one, if he comes back, you've got money this is where you have extra money. And if you get another year out of him, I mean, imagine if you did get a Judge or a Correa and had Peterson behind those guys or in front of those guys. Now he's going to see a lot more pitches. Better pitches. Also, he's strictly kind of a platoon guy. What this could do, if he accepts this could have a trickle effect. Hear me out. Because he's not that great of an outfielder anymore. He's a little.
Well, he wasn't this year.
Right.
He'd have to get some LBs.
Yeah, he'd have to do that and come back and get in some better shape. But let's say he becomes. Let's say he's the DH because now you've got a DH against righties that is pretty formidable. A guy that if you add to that lineup. There's no question in my mind that Jock Peterson can hit you 30-plus home runs if he's protected. No question in my mind. I mean, he was on pace for over 30 this year, but then, he got cold, and the Giants as a team were cold, and, they just didn't have anything. Belt was hurt all year, and they just weren't have anybody to back them up. So I also like the idea that maybe this could possibly move a Yaz or something like that, or a Wade and pick up some pieces because
you mean a trade?
How many left-handed batters
are you looking
for?
Have? Reese's pieces? I
mean, I
think of pieces you looking for?
I don't know. I think
who's trading you anything for Wade and Yaz? Do we need to review their stats?
I don't know.
My God,
people do like Yaz. He's a good defender, and he does give you.
Wait a second. Wait.
He's a good defender.
I got to take a look at these guys' stats before we talk about this.
I know he's not. He didn't hit well.
All right, Lamont Wade. This is what Lamont Wade hit this year: 207. 207, 8 homers, 26 RBIs. And he played a lot. let's see. Let me tell you exactly how much he played. He played for the year. He played 77 games. Is that right? 77 games. That's it. 217
He
at
didn't play
bats.
much in the beginning. You know,
207. 207.
Yeah, I mean,
we're not talking about.
Yeah, you're probably not.
He's almost on the interstate. And then, you mentioned Yaz. Let's take a look at Yaz. Yaz is 32. Wade's 28. Wade's a career minor leaguer.
I just would like to get rid of both of them.
Yaz hit 214, a robust 214.
Yeah, I would like to get rid of
17 home runs, drove in 57. He played a whole year. He played 148 games, 485 at bats.
Yeah, and I would like to see.
My God, that's
awful.
214.
If you're going to have lefties in the outfield, give me Peterson and Gonzalez, and if Nemo's a lefty, I believe. Yeah, get Nemo, and give me
MF
those three
says
lefties.
Will Myers. I like the idea.
I like
of that.
Will Myers. I like Will Myers. He can play right field and first.
Let's just say you couldn't get Trey Turner. You can't get Aaron Judge. Judge goes back to the Yankees. Turner goes and plays in the Northeast. Now what?
Get Correa.
Okay, you get Correa, so he's going to be your shortstop. Where are you going to play Craw?
I think second base or third. I think Craw could play second.
Okay.
He's just got only thing he has to do is change is the pivot.
You going to sign Rizzo?
I think Rizzo's going back to the Yankees.
So who's going to play first for the Giants then? You want us to play? You want to get Will Myers?
I'd be happy with Will Myers over there. Sure, Will Myers, Wilmer Flores, combination. JD Davis could play. Also, you could. The most important where you got to have the good D is up the middle, second, short, center.
I think first is a very underrated defensive position. Sean Proctor says, I remember when 207 was shameful and would get you DFA'd. Yeah, times have changed.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of been looking at this thing with Correa and Turner. I love them both, but Correa's a couple years younger. And
he's going to cost a ton, right?
It's all right. What do they say?
No, I know. Believe me, I know it's all right. But I'm just saying he's going to cost a lot.
Yeah,
Correa's going to cost a lot. So you get Correa, and you get Will Myers to play first. Who are you going to get in the outfield? From what I had heard, the Giants had prioritized 2 outfielders and a starter.
Yeah, to me, Nemo would be a great guy to have out in center field.
We add Rye to the mix. Hey, Rye.
Hey, Rye.
Hey, I just got so bored editing. I just had to hop on. I can actually do most of it while I don't have to listen to it. So I just decided to join the stream.
All right.
You know who wants to join the stream?
We've been talking
a little baseball. We started out working, Jordan Elliott's going to join us, but not till the bottom of the hour, or at least the bottom of the hour. So Sean Proctor wanted to join in. Can we add Sean?
Can get in.
Does Sean know how to get in on the video call? Can you drop him a video link?
I'll send her.
Sean has something that he wants to discuss of utmost importance.
Is it a
trade?
I think it could be about transactions.
It could be about fantasy transactions.
Okay, could be about fantasy.
Judge
to the Giants for
he gave us that tip once.
D-Hop. Okay.
I know.
MF says, I love hearing from Sean. I love hearing from Sean too.
Okay.
Sean's team is dominant right now.
Yeah, if he's coming in, let's make a guess who he's trying to get, because I think he's definitely trying to get Hopkins.
I actually know why Sean's here, so this is not going to be a surprise to me. So I add Sean to the mix. Sean, hello. How are you?
Yo.
What's up?
Let me see here. Hold on a second here.
Like that. He's wearing orange for Giants orange.
Now, what do we all have in common?
Male genitals.
Can you guys hear me?
We all have in common.
We're all Giants fans. We're all
in the Krueg Show Fantasy League. Right?
Yes.
We got a 14 trade.
we have 2 leagues, correct?
We do. I don't know anything about the
We
other.
have the league where my son is the commissioner, and we have and all of us are not in that league, correct?
Correct.
We are all in a league.
Well, how is that league going, by the way? Is your son winning it?
I didn't see who was winning.
Somebody put a post last show we had, said they were leading, but I can't remember who it was.
And then in our league, the Krueg Show, let's call it Krueg Show 1. We are all in that league, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And the commissioner of that league is who? Rye. Rye's the commissioner of that league. All right. So here we go. Wait a second.
Can you hear me?
Oh no.
Oh no. Jordan Elliott has no idea what he just walked into here. Jordan, what's going on? We have one thing of business to handle before we get to you. You're more than welcome to sit in the green room for a minute or two, or be our impartial observer. We may actually need one.
He actually could be a good mediator because
you might be a good mediator because Jordan, I think it's actually really good that you're here because
it's about to get extremely contentious.
You're a man with great taste in music and a man with impeccable credentials of valor. All right. So that's a bunch of crap. But basically what I'm just saying is you can be the go-between. We have controversy in the Krueg Show League.
We got young guys.
Controversy. What's that, Danny?
I said we got 2 young guys. I guess I'm the old man of the group, so I'll just.
Okay, so here is the controversy that we've had.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Sean. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. Because I can't hear myself.
You can't hear yourself?
No.
You want to screw with your? You want to screw with your?
Let me take this off. Yeah. Let's just go to the.
All right. So, the thing that I care the most about is my good name, right? I mean, I have to have my name be, a good name. So I've done enough through my life to ruin my own name. So I really can't have it. And I can't have other people hurting the brand. So we actually have a controversy that involves transactions. And
are we going to get some Tommy Pham stuff going here?
Yes.
Really?
In fact, yes. There could be a fight here. Where's Tommy Pham? Where's Jock Peterson? It has come to my attention.
Did I do something? Did I beat somebody bad?
No. Danny, just pipe down.
I haven't beat anybody.
we have an accusation of impropriety directed towards the commissioner of our league. And that would be Ryan. Maybe we should go. Maybe we should.
Whoa! This is which I was not expecting.
Yeah, no, seriously, we have improprieties.
So here's the deal. So
all right, here we go.
I'm checking out the.
Listen to this, Jordan. We're going to need your absolute evaluation of this.
I'm checking out the transactions, and I've been playing fantasy football since 2003, and I've been a commissioner before, and I've noticed that anytime you see a player added and it says from the commissioner, it typically means like something happened between the player needed to be added, or there was something weird where the system didn't allow it. So the commissioner had to override it using the commissioner tools. And then I looked and I saw, wait a second, the commissioner basically took his tight end off of his team during the game, added Foster Moreau during the game, took him off during the game, added Cole Kmet, who just scored 2 touchdowns during the game, to his active roster. That's Rye. And I'm like, why would he do it? Like, I mean, I know why he would do it, but Rye, did you do that? I mean, you did it.
If that was something that's done, I mean, I don't know. I don't necessarily know how to engage such powers as to that, but there's a good chance.
Yeah, you asked the player at 12:26 when the Chicago Bears game started at 10 a.m. So 12:26 means it was like close to the end of the game. And Cole Kmet had already scored 2 touchdowns, and you added him to your active roster, and you won by 0.3 points over Kalba.
What time did this transaction take place?
12:24.
12:24.
Okay, well, I mean, if that's the case, I guess, I mean, That's just
That's just not.
So as soon as the game starts, if anyone who doesn't play fantasy, as soon as the game starts, the entire roster of both teams is locked until Tuesday. The only way that you can add a player is if you're the commissioner and you override those rules. I was always under the impression, because it blew my mind. I was like, wait a second, how did this happen? And normally when you add a player and the commissioner overrides it, it gets added to the bench. But this player got added to your roster in your starting tight end spot. So you got those 19 points and you beat Kalba by 0.3. So you really should have beat Kalba by like 13 points because you had Hunter Henry that you dropped. Kind of shady. Just saying.
Okay. Well,
Kalba's like, I was wondering how I lost.
Oh gosh. Oh jeez.
Steve Roach says super sus.
I mean,
all right, so how do we correct this? First of all, okay, what happened here, right? Let's lay. First of all, let's lay this all the cards on the table. This would be if you were ever going to come clean, this would be the time. Just be like, you know what, I'm doing terrible, and I've scored tons of points, and I just wanted to get a leg up. And if you fall on the sword here, we'll give Kalba the victory. We'll all move on, and we'll just chalk it up to a learning experience.
Well, the only thing I'm in 4 leagues, so I don't. I mean,
and he says everyone boo Ryan like a typical commissioner.
Yeah.
I mean, there's. I knew nothing about this. I got to be honest. I knew nothing about this. I thought the Krueg Show Fantasy League was totally on the up and up. We are playing for money, even though we haven't collected the entry fee. Everybody was going to pay, I think, $20 or $25. So we probably should, one, just go back and have Rye promise us he won't do it again, and award Kalba the victory, and.
Well, can I go back and change the points?
Well, I mean, I think ultimately, now we'll go to Jordan Elliott for clarification from a man who loves Led Zeppelin.
Jordan, do you work for Yahoo Fantasy Sports?
In honesty, Jordan has been drawn into this. He had no idea he was being drawn into a fantasy battle involving impropriety. Jordan, where do we go from here? I mean, how do we rectify?
I don't know how you can, man. To be honest, like Ryan, that's wild, dude. I never would have expected it. This is like so like shocking to me that you would stoop to that level. You seem like such a trustworthy, honest fella. I'm like wrapping my brain around this. Like, I mean, I on one hand, I like can understand. I'm never the commissioner for this reason, right? Because all you deal with is headache all day, and the only positive is that you do have the unlimited power that leads you to make decisions like this that are unethical and immoral. But like, how did you not think you were going to get caught? Is what I'm thinking. Like, how would you think that like the transaction page wasn't going to reflect that you were like doing these ads in the middle of the 10 a.m. window? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know how you can rectify it. I'm just like shocked. Like, I don't know how this unfolded. Ryan's such a smart guy. I don't know how he overlooked all the little details that would get him caught days later. Like,
right? I mean, what say you?
Honestly, I can say the only thing I can say is
just shouldn't have done it.
Yeah, well, the only thing I can say is I'm being completely serious here. So, I mean, obviously, like I'm into the league as much as the next guy, probably as much as like starting all the lineups and stuff. But it's not like I've like been, on this. I don't know. I haven't like been that involved in the league all year. I like don't even really put in waiver claims. Even like if you go back and check, like I almost just don't even put in waiver claims. And like well, I've been last place.
Maybe you were confused because anytime you put a waiver claim in, you just add them to your team.
Well, because I'm in four leagues. I mean, they're all ESPN. This is my first time doing a Yahoo league. But there is truth to the fact that this was our one bye week. And so I may or may not have been digesting some stuff that night and also in the morning during the games because it was, or whatever, like bye week off from work.
Graves says plead the fifth. Mario says impeachment. Romo says blame Putin.
Yeah. Like, I'm just not that. I'm saying
Mario says
Yeah.
Krueg fantasy football scandal.
Yeah.
I mean, I would just say this. Justin Kerwin says Rye won't come clean. I would say this at this point, the cover up is worse than is worse than the action. We all agree.
No.
I mean,
No,
if you made the action, okay, it's a weak moment. We've all been there, you know. But if the cover up would be worse, so I just think since you are the commissioner, and we don't want to, you know, point any more fingers, and we definitely don't want to have any improprieties.
Yes.
Let's go back. Let's take the Cole Kmet away from you. Make you go tight end less in this week's.
That's all good.
This week's lineup. Mace, what do you guys think of that? Tight end less this week for Rye's lineup. Still allow him to be the commissioner.
Yeah, I think Ryan can. You can go back. You can retroactively change teams.
Okay.
So you can add. You can put your tight end was Hunter Henry, so you can add Hunter Henry back to that lineup as if he played the whole game, which is what should have happened.
Okay.
And then you can, you know, Kaba should get the win that he deserves. I don't know if it's going to change anything in the league standings, right? Like, I don't know if that's going to change anything, but at least that's the right thing to do.
Yeah. No problem.
DJ says I see a Dateline episode in the making. Excuse me. I'm what's that guy's name who's like you know, he always busts the people, you know, and he's like come on over here.
To Catch a Predator.
Yeah. What's that guy's name? Hansen?
What's that?
Something Hansen.
Jeff Hansen? No.
Scott Hansen. Scott. No, not Scott Hansen. That's the Red Zone guy.
Oh,
that's the Witching Hour. Let's not confuse the Witching Hour.
Can you sit over here? Sit over here.
Come on in. Sit down.
Oh, is it?
I was supposed to be out of here. I was supposed to be leaving. I wasn't supposed to be here. Chris Hansen. Why did you bring a change of clothes?
It reminds me a little bit of Columbo back in the days.
Chiguayo 56 says $2. Krug, has Ryan been listening to Kyrie Irving?
Oh gosh.
All right.
I will say this because I haven't mounted much of a defense, but there's no I'm not really I don't really know what to say, but like if you look at my team in the league has 2 wins. There's been like plenty of games that have come down to whatever, like 0.5, 1 point, or I made the wrong lineup decision. I've just been taking it on the chin. There's been nothing nefarious. There's been no like crazy all on the waiver wire. Been pretty disengaged. I've even been asked about the money a few times, people trying to pay me, and I've been like, do it. It's cool. Like, we'll wait. I'm not going to haggle people down. I've just been an overall pretty laid back, pretty not that even that into it commissioner. So
at this point, I would be shocked if you could get all 12 people to pay, because typically, you're not going to be able to collect even $25 from people who are out of it or not going to make the playoffs. And
that's right. I'm not paying. I'm 3 and 6.
This guy up at the top of these boxes.
I think we can get everybody to pay.
Yeah, I think we can get
$25.
I mean, especially
I got an idea.
The way we handle improprieties in this league. I mean,
if you don't pay by a certain date, you're banned.
Sent to collections.
Yes, ban. Give a
Calba, who was the man who was cheated on in this situation, says, "Thank you, Sean, for pointing this out. This is awkward for everybody, but you need to learn a hard lesson, Ryan. Your reputation takes a huge hit on a free fantasy league. Bad deal. No bueno." God, Calba's turned. I mean, this is not your typical live stream for us.
Oh no, this is
impropriety. This is
absolute
awkward. Murder. It's Mario says he'll pay. DJ says code red. Ryan is Jack Nicholson. You Senator, you Officer Weinberg. You need guys like me who are gonna sit on that post All right. So okay, let's
We have our own January 6th on the Krueg show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
seriously.
I'm just pretty shook right now because it's like,
Yeah,
okay,
you're shook. You're
I was
shook.
doing all this editing and all of this stuff, and then all of a sudden I pop on just to kind of hang out, have a good time, and then I'm just gonna let it go whatever. But I'm telling you, there was no anything like that. I was making waiver claims and changes and stuff all morning. I'm in 4 leagues. And I'm more involved in the other 3. I don't know.
No, but you can't add a guy who had 19 points at the tight end position.
You can. I mean, you can't. No, I know.
I can as the commish.
No,
I know. Really can't. You can't do that. So let's go. Let's do this. Let's make Rye go without the tight end for how long? A week? 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
I mean, I pretty much don't have one with Waller anyway, so I just wear it.
And we have to go back and award Calba the victory, right? Calba's got to get the victory. Rye's got to take the loss. Rye's got to go without a tight end for a couple weeks. And then I think, other than that, I think we can all move on. But
what might be fun, Larry? Have his opponent pick one player to take off his roster for the next 2 weeks instead of just the tight end. Add a little variety.
Dang.
There you go. I like it. What do you guys think?
Or let Calva do it since he was the victimized party here. But I think that would add some spice to it. Let them maybe.
Yeah, actually, why don't we? Actually, Calba was the one who got discriminated against here. So let's do this. Let's have Calba, who's in the chat. Calba, go ahead. Take a look during the live stream.
Or does he trade 1 for 1?
No, he's not. No trades. We're just gonna. We're not gonna. No trades. We're just gonna. Calba's gonna be able to take one player off of Rye's roster. You mean for his own team?
No, I mean if because he's not going to play Calba, obviously he just played in, but for his next couple opponents, let Calba pick a play. So because it sounds like his tight ends suck, to be honest. So that might not be that much of a punishment, but his quarterback might be good, his running back might be good. Maybe he has a favorable matchup. Then you give Calba the opportunity to
bench him.
Pick instead of just the tight. I feel like the tight end is too light of a punishment. To be honest.
The only thing though is that at that point you're not punishing. There's no punishment for me because it's like, I'm already not gonna make the playoffs. I'm gonna keep losing. But for the teams that I'm playing, it is going to make their chances of winning greater than it otherwise would have, which is kind of unfair for the other people that don't get to play me.
That's true. How are you doing in your other leagues? Maybe we should shift this over to the league.
No. Graves says, I have a feeling that Rye will be editing this video before it gets uploaded. This never actually happened.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. No, there'll be no editing of this video. This stands as public record.
I'm mostly just kind of shook because of the tone that I feel like I thought this, if anything, this would be like a jokey thing. I feel like that was a pretty serious, intense tone.
Well, I mean, hey, we're
kinda
playing for real money.
This is your Watergate, Ryan. You got to live with it forever now.
Yeah, I mean, okay. In the grand scheme of things, what is this?
It's nothing. It's a fantasy football league. It's no big deal. I think it just comes down to
integrity.
Integrity, honestly. Like if you really didn't know and you're like, fuck it, I'm in 4 leagues, whatever. But when you're a commissioner, you have to be held to a higher standard. And if you're you've done it 3 times this year. If you go back and look at the transactions, you've added players off of waivers directly onto your team without going through waivers. So you're a player just like anyone else in the league. You have to go through waivers. You can't just add them to your team. And then, of course, to cycle through 3 tight ends during the games, I've never seen it in my 17 years in fantasy football.
I mean, let's just say this, right? If you had not made that move, if you had stayed with Hunter Henry, you would have lost to Calba by 16 points.
Instead, I just looked. Hunter Henry scored 7. Yeah. So he would have lost by what, 12?
Yeah, 12. Yeah,
I just don't think that you guys realize that, or it's Sean. I don't think you realize this is not that the fantasy league is not that intense for me. I'm not being. There's no.
I get it. No, I understand.
This was a crime of apathy, not of anything else.
No, I get it. You're a chill commissioner. I understand that. But there's a difference between a chill commissioner and just, adding players
Well,
to your roster.
then that
That's what
Bri
I'm
brings
saying.
up an interesting point. And this will bring Jordan in for this, since Jordan's the only one not in the league. Jimmy P says this is fucked up. And I'm not really sure if Jimmy's saying that Rye's fucked up or if we're fucked up for bringing this up. Or even having this all done on a live stream.
Yeah, it's a fantasy football. I'm not trying to make it that
It's
serious,
fantasy
right?
football.
Like,
Nobody's dying here. And
I just don't want you to do it again.
nobody's really mad. But at the same time, I've been playing fantasy football for a decade. I don't remember this being a frequent type thing. So what do you think? Are we being are we making too big a deal of this, Jordan? Are we not making a big enough deal of this? Where in the grand scheme of things, as far as give me your evaluation as somebody who's unbiased and neutral observer.
I think it's fair because I don't think that Ryan is a bad person with ill intent in his heart. And I truly mean that. And I think most people who know him would agree. And that's what makes it even more concerning because it's very uncharacteristic. But I'm with Sean. I've been playing fantasy football for a long time. And I have seen some shady stuff happen, but I've never seen somebody cycle through multiple players where they made the change mid-game. The first selection wasn't cutting it, and then they found another guy who was lighting up the scoreboard and just inserted him in the lineup as if anybody would notice. So while it may be tough and Ryan may be taking all of the flack right now, he might be saving an entire generation of future fantasy football players from dealing with agony by putting the scandal in the forefront. I think it's totally fair, and honestly, it's entertainment, man. There's only so many ways you can be entertained by fantasy football. And
exactly, especially because we didn't have a punishment bracket, which is always the best part of fantasy football. Is you have the punishment.
This would be a good one.
Yeah. Well, so I know, but you've got the punishment bottom.
I think we've come up with a good punishment.
Yeah.
So whoever finishes last. I got a buddy who's in the league.
But that's the thing is so does the punishment just affect what did you think about that logic of the I'm cool with not winning these games, but it ultimately doesn't affect anything.
I don't think there should be any punishment. I mean, like Ryan's perfectly right. If you take players off his team, that affects the rest of the league. It doesn't just affect him. He's not going to make the playoffs anyways. So it's kind of pointless. Ryan knows how we feel. It's not the biggest, it's not the end of the world.
The punishment is really the live stream.
Don't do it again. Just don't.
Yeah. Let's
stop
be honest.
to your
the punishment is the live stream. This is enough punishment.
Yeah.
Why don't we let's weigh in with our senior member here, Dan Coach Emilio, who joins us from La Boca Vista. If this had happened within the walls of Del Boca Vista, what would have been the penalty for Rye?
Well, crap! I feel like I'm going through this with our election here. I mean, it's taking forever to count the votes here in Arizona. I'm starting to wonder what's happening. No,
are you trying to squash votes? And I've seen people that have been turned away at right by the pool over there by the voting center.
Oh, my center where I went to vote, the machines were down, and so I had to take my ballot because I had a mail-in ballot, but I didn't trust mailing it in. So I took it.
What they say to you? They say that the machine. Sorry, you can't vote.
They said you can go in, but it's just not. You can wait, but they're not working. They're not tabulating. You have to throw it into a different pile or something. So
where's that going?
Yeah, who knows? I don't know what's going on, but it's
all right. So Danny,
I would say this:
Chiguayo 56 says here's $2. This league is more cutthroat than Goodfellas. Shake.
I say this: Ryan's a good guy.
Ryan is a good man.
Ryan's a good guy.
I'm actually going through, and I may actually have more proof to present to the court.
Really?
Yes.
Well,
do you? These witnesses were not screened ahead of time, but we'll allow them.
I have no idea. I don't know what happened. I'll just say this: if it is
your wife around?
My wife?
Yeah, could she possibly jump in on this and give us an evaluation?
She's in her pajamas. She's going to bed. It's 11:45 here.
Honey, get down here. We have improprieties in the fantasy league. All right. Maybe we could dump it right there as far as this conversation and get back to something more pleasant. But I would just say, look.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I would say
I just wanted to jump on the Giants. Before you cut me off.
No, we're not going to cut you off. We'll give you a point on the Giants, and then we'll finish up with Jordan talking some Niners.
Yeah.
But I just want to say this. I don't think Rye made a mistake, and it was definitely not a good one. But this whole he's got to be taken away as the commissioner and this and that. Come on, no.
I'm not.
He made a judgment error. It's not that big a deal, but it is kind of a big deal. So it's more than anything. As long as Kalba, who got denied the victory, somehow, if we could go back in the system and give him a W, give Rye the loss, have Kalba, pick somebody that Ryan can't put in the lineup this week and next week. I'm fine with that. Moving on, and we'll just chalk it up to, lesson learned. What do you guys think?
I don't think Ryan should have to change any players for the following weeks. That doesn't make any sense because, like Ryan said, it affects the rest of the league. That's kind of
okay. So, what do you want?
Nothing. I think Ryan needs to go in and he needs to go into the commissioner tools and put Hunter Henry, who was his tight end when the game started, back on his team and let it play out. And then the system, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I've been a commissioner. I haven't been a commissioner in a couple of years, but I think the commissioner tools allow you to do that, where you can retroactively go back and change the
custom change the outcome or something.
And if you can't, just all you have to do is email Yahoo and say, hey, there was a mistake here. Can you please, retroactively change what I did or whatever, and then they will.
Okay, how about this one? Kalba says here's $10 donation. Kalba says the punishment should be that Ryan needs to release the players that he manually added Kmet, Deontay Johnson, Allen Robertson, and expose them all to waivers.
Yeah, I mean that's.
Oh, I mean, okay.
Oh yeah, hey, I did have a claim in for Deontay Johnson.
What do you guys think? I think that's a good solution.
You guys can have those guys.
Yeah,
Jordan, go ahead, Jordan. What do you got to say?
He should also have to reimburse poor Kalba for having to keep super chatting these donations. All the super chat donations should be matched by Ryan and sent back to Kalba. This guy's, he had to deal with being victimized. He's still putting money in Ryan's pocket.
He's donating. He's had to donate more than the buy-in to the league to get the improprieties cleaned up.
I'm just glad my sins in my 20s aren't being put on live stream.
How about this? We'll put Rye in the main box, and Rye, you have to say you're sorry.
I mean, I'm seriously, I'm telling you,
a simple sorry.
I don't want to quite give this full sorry.
Richard Nixon did it.
I mean,
America needs to know if their president's a crook. Hey, and I'm not a crook. Remember that? So we need to know that our commissioner is not a crook.
Okay, this is the only thing that has me holding up. Okay, I was gonna just give in because I was like, how could I? There's just no way. This looks horrible. But if you go
super chats are payment for great content, according to Cal.
If you go back through the transactions, you can kind of see what I meant. Like there is.
Oh, you're right now. You're waving your finger at the testimony, saying I did not, Rafi Palmeiro. And in reality, we kind of, as Will Clark said, you got caught, partner. Right?
No. And okay, the commissioner tag, I think it must be because I'm
a commissioner at the end of the day. No,
the commissioner's just a guy who collects money and deals with trade approval.
Ryan Fitzgerald. Ryan would go to prison for Barry Bonds.
I would.
A simple, you know what?
I'm sorry.
To whom I may have offended, one of those. It could be one of those. But I think you probably, if nothing else, you should apologize to Kalba and
Kalba. I'm very sorry. I'm sorry to everyone in the league. I'm sorry for anyone that's not entertained by this, but it's pretty entertaining, I feel like.
Justin Kerwin is the guy who's really after you. He says Ryan is a liar, and he knows what he did. If he's playing in ESPN, no, we're not playing.
No, I know.
We're playing in Yahoo.
We're playing in Yahoo. I've never played in Yahoo before.
DJ said there was a Spygate. Now there's a Rygate.
Oh my god.
Jeez. That'd be an awesome name to the live stream. Rygate. Krueg Show Fantasy League. Rygate. All right.
Some of
all
our
right. Let's
guys are pretty funny.
let's switch gears. Before we because we're gonna drop this right here. Before we go any further with Jordan, because we're gonna let Sean get on with this night. But Sean, you wanted to say something about the Giants, and the floor is yours.
Yeah, no, I just was, I was on since the beginning. I just really hope. I mean, Judge and Correa would be sweet, right? That would be sweet.
Right.
Turner and Correa would be sweet. I love that Dan said that. What were you talking about?
Well, I said if you don't get Judge, if he resigns with New York, why not go get Correa and?
Well, no, you were saying there's five experts were saying.
Oh yeah, there's guys that are made MLB trade rumors are all 3 of the 4 guys are picking Correa to the Giants.
Wow. Yeah, that would be
monumental.
That would be monumental if Farhan goes from all talk, no walkie to just let's just sign
MLBTradeRumors.com. Yeah.
Doesn't it seem weird though? The thing about the whole Correa thing and Trey Turner, doesn't it seem weird and unnatural that they're going to kick Crawford off shortstop? One of the best, Giants of this generation, and in his final year with the club, you're going to say, I mean, I don't know. It's like nobody's telling Trent Williams, hey, go play right guard.
I think Crawford's probably only going to play about 120, 25 games anyway. I don't think they're going to
just kind of weird. He's played literally, I saw this. He's played every inning of his entire career at shortstop. And now in his last year with the Giants, you're going to say, go play second.
So when the Dodgers traded for Trey Turner, Corey Seager was at short, and Turner, he played a little second. Third. He played second.
He went to second. He
wanted to play short, right? So why couldn't Correa play second for the year?
I know. It would be like, I don't know. It's kind of be like if the Dodgers move. Well, they kind of did move Buehler in front of Kershaw. I don't know. It just seems a little. I don't know, awkward, doesn't it? I mean, it seems a little funky. And also, what if Crawford really, what if Crawford, who's a very proud player, family guy, lives in the Bay Area. What if he's a circus at third? What if he's a disaster at second? Mm-hmm. Then you've got this all-time great Giant who was this incredible defensive player, and all people are going to remember is his final year. He was a butcher of epic proportions at an unfamiliar position. It's awkward. It's awkward. It's like asking Jerry Rice in his 15th year to play running back. I don't know. It's just I think you
could talk Correa into playing second.
No, Correa. If they get Correa's playing short for sure. Turner's going to play second. Maybe they could may have Turner play second. So I don't know. I feel a little bad for Crawford, but Sean, good stuff, man. Thanks for jumping in.
Yeah.
Sorry, by the way, Sean's 9-0 in this league.
Yeah, I know.
So now Rye's been taken down by a guy who's literally at the top of the league.
That's where it does the extra insult. I've been dragged over the coals by a guy who's 9-0, by a guy who got during the waivers. Even though I was in last place, I wasn't even putting in claims. I let you get Taysom Hill that one week where you were undefeated. He was the number one waiver guy, and it's reverse standing order.
So you changed the way. If we're going to get into it now, you changed the waivers in the middle of the season. You know that, right?
I changed it. I scrambled it.
You can't change the waivers in the middle of the season. You can't change the rules in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
that was also another mistake.
That one was I talked to Dan about that, and it was like, well, I don't understand why this.
Oh yeah, I was complaining how does the number one guy
none of us,
place? How did
hey guys, let's drop this because I want to get a few minutes out of Jordan Elliott here.
Yeah.
Jordan's worth something. Sean, we'll talk to you.
Go Niners, go Bosa. See ya.
All right, see you, Sean. All right, now we go to Jordan Elliott, who's joining us late night. Probably didn't think he was walking in on Rygate, but unfortunately you did. All right, bye week. We were down there today talking to 49ers. There seems to be this kind of circling of the wagons approach But it was also kind of a little bit of a bittersweet day down there because it was announced that yesterday in practice, Jason Verrett tore his Achilles. And so his year is over. His career is likely over. And it was funny. Ryan and I were driving back from Santa Clara, and I had mentioned to him that, we've been doing these interviews of players on Wednesdays and Thursdays all season long. And literally every single player that we've asked to sit down for a few minutes or talk to us have said, absolutely, love to do it, except Jason Verrett, who was like, I don't know. And now kind of looking back on it, Jordan, I kind of think that Jason Verrett kind of knew that he didn't want to do a lot of talking up front because he kind of knew that there was potential that he may never see the field. His body may never allow him to really play at the level he's comfortable playing at. He's prideful. He doesn't want, none of these guys want to talk big and never do anything. So I seem like, unless he just didn't like us, but I just think that he really didn't want to talk to us because he kind of knew, hey, it's 50-50 whether I can get on the field and stay on the field. How much are the 49ers damaged by Verrett being done for the year?
Well, first of all, my condolences go out to him because it's one of those things where, sports is so amazing for so many reasons, but Jason Verrett in his situation kind of epitomizes the downside of sports, where there are so many players and athletes that have all this talent, and it frustrates me when people, talk about, busts and contracts and too much money. This is why I'm always pro player, especially in the NFL, for getting as much money as they can, because ultimately some of these things are out of their control. Jason Verrett's been just working his tail off the last 3 out of the last 4 years to get back on that field. And sometimes these athletes' bodies just don't respond. And my condolences go out to him because I know how hard he's been working to get back. But in terms of the 49ers, I think that they'll be okay. It hurts, obviously, from a psychological standpoint because beyond what it does on the field, these guys have been in the building with him, and they've seen the work he's put in. He's been with the 49ers since 2019. So I think there's definitely that devastation. I think Debo mentioned something. I apologize if it wasn't him. I remember I read it in passing earlier, where just the whole mood of the practice. I think he said something along the lines, it was difficult to finish the practice. And I think that's far more to do with just the brotherhood that they have and the connection they have for some of those guys who've been on the team for a few years. So while, yes, we'd like to count on getting back the version of him we saw a couple years ago and how it would help the secondary, I think, honestly, the psychological effect is far worse than the immediate, ramifications of what will happen on the field, because they've had to scheme around the absence of Emmanuel Mosley the last couple of weeks. I thought they did a really good job of it against the Rams after struggling a bit against the Chiefs. And ultimately, it's going to come down to the younger guys in Diamador Lenore and Ambry Thomas and Samuel Womack, unless something materializes where they can bring a veteran in. And I just think that after what we saw last year from D'Amico Ryans, while it's obviously not ideal, you would have liked to count on getting back maybe 80% of what we got from Verrett in 2020. Ryans has shown that he can scheme around not having this elite talent at corner. And I think that the rest of the defense kind of getting back guys like Aziz Al-Shaair and Eric Armstead will help, ease the burden on that secondary. So, to me, it didn't really, my immediate thought was, concern for Jason Verrett and his livelihood, and not, oh no, the 49ers are, screwed because of this, because how much, just like you said, how much could you really count on getting Verrett back at that high level after the amount of time he's missed after the last couple of seasons? So I didn't really think it moved the needle a ton, because you couldn't really guarantee that you were going to get that high level of play based on his health status, going into the back half of the season.
It goes to show, I wonder, if athletes, I know modern medicine, the technology, things are so much better, but guys are returning from ACLs now after like 8 months, and it used to be a year plus. And it was like, I remember when Jerry Rice returned years ago, like in the same season, and it was like, unheard of. And then I think he ended up getting hurt again. You see Klay Thompson, tear his ACL, and then playing pickup basketball, tears his, Achilles. Same thing with Verrett. You wonder if these guys just aren't ready to come back, and if there's got to be something that's compromised in their rehab that they're not. I don't know. That's just really a freaky thing. It sounds like he wasn't doing a whole lot to nothing real high intensity to tear it, right, Larry? I mean, I wasn't there, but it wasn't an intense.
I didn't see the play at all. I don't know, Jordan, if you're aware of how it happened, but I mean, this is a player whose body has failed him. It's really kind of tragic because he really moves around like a Pro Bowl caliber corner. He's got
he
those
was
kind of
amazing coverage skills.
Where do the Niners go from here? We talked to Samuel Womack today. We talked to Dante Johnson today, and I got to think those two guys, Jordan, maybe specifically, are the guys who, now will have opportunities. Dante's a veteran. I asked him a couple times, hey, where do you feel most comfortable? And he's like, all of them. Yeah, I feel comfortable at free safety, comfortable on the outside, comfortable in the nickel, comfortable in the slot. He's comfortable in any spot, and that's probably why he's there, though he doesn't have great long speed. And then Womack also told Ryan and I that he felt, very confident in himself. Obviously, both guys very disappointed for Verrett, and even Dante was like, man, you never want, to get an opportunity because another guy goes down, and we're rooting for each other to stay healthy. So I think they were a little, impacted, by the fact that, the just kind of the emotional nature of the man's career may be ending. But also, they kind of both know that they're going to be on the spot. How do you see the 49ers going forward on the corner without Verrett?
I think that the wisest approach would be a heavy dose of Dante Johnson, because I know people throw the jokes around about how he ends up on the team every year and he's cut and picked up again, but he was vital to their success last year. And I thought the way he played, particularly in week 18, where they had him playing corner and free safety in the same game when they had injuries at both positions, and then having him go into Green Bay and doing a good job of limiting who a lot of people think is the best receiver in the league in Devontae Adams. Like, Dante Johnson is somebody who does have that length. He has the experience in the system. He's a veteran. To me, Kyle always seems to go the veteran route first, but I would like to see Samuel Womack getting some run, whether they decide to kick him in at slot and have maybe Johnson on the outside. I'd like to see him on the field, because I do think with Womack, you get the ability to run, and he's somebody who you can leave in man coverage and not feel like he's going to get torched on the back end. I think he has great physical traits. To be honest, that was one thing to me when I went back and watched the game film. Like, there wasn't anything that was really jumping out to me that I thought, like he wasn't fitting his run gaps properly, or he wasn't, he wasn't blowing coverages. So early on, I actually thought he played really well. And I'm assuming something may have happened during practice where maybe just another player looked better, or he was making mistakes there that they didn't feel good about. But I thought Womack played good to start the year, so I'd like to see him back out there. And at the end of the day, it's been kind of up and down for guys like Diamador Lenore and Ambry Thomas. But I also think that like with Ambry Thomas specifically, he has really good physical gifts.
Yeah, speaking of Ambry Thomas, Joe, what happened? Last year he was starting in the playoffs. He was came back the last few games of the regular season, was improved over earlier in the year. It looked like he was becoming a pretty good coverage corner. And then this year, nothing. He's like on the bottom of the, depth chart. What happened?
I wasn't watching close enough every single rep to give specifics as to why, and I'm far from an expert on, defensive back play, but I did remember like during camp, both of the, 2 seasons he's been there, it felt like every time there was a big play, or every time there was, a chunk play by the offense, it was him who was being targeted in coverage. And after a certain point, like that's just not a coincidence. And it wasn't just, Ayuk or Kittle or one of those guys. It was a lot of the guys who ended up not even making the roster. So I'd imagine enough of that caught up with him to the point where, I'd start to slide down the depth chart a little bit. If I recall correctly, like he runs in the 4.3s, and he had some really good tape at Michigan, which is still a big time conference in the Big Ten, where they left him on an island in man coverage. I remember he had a really good game against Chase Claypool when they played Notre Dame in 2019. So, I like to think that even if it doesn't look great early on, there's always room for guys with traits to get better. You can learn coverages, you can learn tendencies and, things that receivers might tip to you in their release. You can't teach a guy to run 4.3. Like you either have that or you don't. So I do hold out some optimism that a guy like Ambry Thomas, maybe with a little bit more seasoning, will, maybe make that leap where he doesn't have to be a frontline, above average starter. He just needs to not be the reason that they're losing football games and not be a guy that opposing teams are targeting 15 times a game. And I think he's capable of doing that. And I try to give these guys the benefit of the doubt early on, because there's just been too many instances where a player might struggle early on. They get a season or two under their belt and they really.
Yeah, look at Emmanuel Mosley in the 19 season. He was like yanked because he was getting exposed. And then now, he comes back. He was like one of probably the top 15 corners in football this year until he got hurt.
I think he had a soft tissue injury that year that was making him not nearly as quick. But yeah, you're right. I mean, this year they miss him greatly. It's amazing. He went out and they've been damaged significantly. Lot of talk this week about OBJ. Is OBJ getting close to coming back? And I mean, do the 49ers need him? There's only so many receiver spots. There's only one ball to go around. You got Ayuk, you got Debo, you got McCaffrey, you got Kittle, you got Elijah Mitchell coming back, you got Juice. Do they need to upgrade from Jawan Jennings or Danny Gray that badly? What do you think? It sounds like OBJ knows their offense and would feel real comfortable in their offense. A lot of people think it's between Dallas, who's been begging for him, Buffalo because of Von Miller, and maybe the Niners. What do you make of OBJ? Would you go after him? Would you not? How far do you think that decision is away?
I think you absolutely have to go after him. And I think that the pushback I've seen from a lot of 49ers fans is that they don't need him and they have all the skill position guys. But to me, you just came off a game before the bye where, Willie Snead is a proven NFL veteran. He was great with Breeze in New Orleans and he had some, good stretches with Baltimore, but he was also on your practice squad and you had him out there, not just, eating a couple snaps. He was out there running routes the entire game because they were stretched so thin that, yes, you ideally are going to get Deebo Samuel back. The hamstring thing hopefully won't linger and be an issue. But if something happens to Ayuk or Deebo, all of a sudden your wide receiver room is extremely thin and all the depth that may appear to be there while they're healthy, it's a very top-heavy group. And I just think the ability of the 49ers to really put stress on defenses out of these two wide receiver sets right now where they're able to have a tight end on the field, or they're going to have Juszczyk in the backfield with the running back, or maybe they put Debo back there with McCaffrey. You can do that, but you also really want to be able to operate out of that 11 personnel, which a lot of teams are finding success with in the NFL, having those three wide receiver sets. And with all due respect to Jawan Jennings and Danny Gray and some of those guys, it's not like you're bringing in a random guy off the street to replace them. Odell Beckham is one of the preeminent wide receiver talents in the NFL. And I think after a couple ACL injuries, people just tend to have a, pessimistic outlook on a guy like that. But he was vital for the Rams. Without him, the Rams don't win the Super Bowl last year. Even, exiting the Super Bowl in the middle of the game, if they don't get those contributions early on, I don't think they win that game. So to me, yeah, I think he absolutely fits. And the other thing I would add to there is I think that there's this weird misconception that I see that he's a deep threat and he wouldn't fit with this offense. And I think people go back to that catch he made. God, it had to have been 8 years ago by now, 7, whatever it was, where he went, behind his back down the sideline against the Cowboys on that primetime game when he was still with the Giants. And while it was a fantastic catch, to me, Odell Beckham has always done the most damage as a receiver when he's operating between the hashes and he's getting the ball over the middle and his ability to rack up yards after the catch. All things which not only fit great with what Kyle Shanahan wants to do, but with what Jimmy Garoppolo does best, which is getting the ball out quickly in between the numbers, in between the hashes. So to me, you can never have too many weapons, and defenses are already going to be stressed enough. But you add a talent like that, it's just the same thing with, we had the same arguments with Christian McCaffrey, right? Where people are they don't need to give up picks for a guy like that. They already have, Debo and Ayuk and Kittle. They don't need a Christian McCaffrey. And we saw him have his first full game of game planning, pretty much set a historical day and be the difference in them winning or losing that game. So I just don't like the notion that you can have too many good skill position players in the NFL, especially with how frequently they get hurt. So if I'm the Niners, I make a push to do it. And I pitch him on we can feature you in the offense. We're going to make you look really good. And we're also not going to have to be out there for 90% of the snaps. You can ease back in a way where maybe you get that big payday next year. Maybe they can work something out where it is a, mutual option, something in the offseason. Yeah, you have to go for it. He's too talented of a player to not take a chance.
Yeah, I think it would be great. I did hear he's probably still maybe a month away, and that this talk right now is maybe premature. That I don't know where he's at, physically, if he's ready to.
Is he buddies with Jimmy?
Somewhat.
There's just that one clip that always went around where it kind of looked like Odell was saying, like,
get me
come
here,
get me, or whatever, come get me. So that's come up a lot when Odell's been at the trade deadline.
This week it's Niners Chargers, and the 49ers obviously have a new look offense with McCaffrey. They've now had the bye week. And here are the Chargers, and they've allowed the third most points in the NFL and a league worst 6 runs of at least 40 yards this year. I gotta think the game plan is, run it right down their throat and run it some more at the Chargers. What do you think of this matchup, guys? How do you guys see the national TV game? Herbert's a tremendous talent, but there's no Keenan, there's no Mike Williams. Just an awful lot on Herbert right now. He's an impressive player, but he hasn't done a lot of winning. That's for sure. What kind of game do you guys anticipate seeing, come Sunday night? Who wants to go first? Go ahead, Jordan.
Okay. So you have to start with running the ball. One of the most interesting stats that I've, come across during this week while I've been doing my research into this matchup is the Chargers are allowing 5.7 yards a carry right now, which is dead last in the NFL, but it's also a number that if it held over the course of an NFL season, it would be the second worst in the history of the National Football League. So It's not like they're just having a tough stretch or they're, it's been a couple bad matchups. No, they're abysmal against the run in historical fashion, and they've allowed 3 of their last 4 opponents to run for over 200 yards. So that doesn't mean that I think the 49ers are just going to come out and dominate them. You can't have that expectation in the NFL. Anything can happen. They do have talent on that side of the ball, but I think especially coming out of the bye, we're going to see a very coordinated and precise rushing attack that's going to be very efficient and then set up that play action. You'll start getting those big chunk plays over the middle. And Shanahan in general, since he's been with the 49ers, has had a really, really good, ability to come out of the bye with a strong rushing attack. He's averaged 144 rushing yards per game in the game immediately following the bye since 2017. So when you add that up with how bad the Chargers have been, defending the run, it has to start with that. And I think that, we'll see a heavier dose of maybe some other guys. I don't think it's all going to be McCaffrey. I think this is a great game to get, TDP rolling and get him back into the fold where he's going to have some carries, especially with Jeff Wilson gone. But, I really like the matchup there. And then, just from what I've seen, I have to catch up on a little bit more of their games on game film and not just the broadcast that I've been watching. But from what I've watched on the broadcast the last few weeks with the Chargers, it seems like their entire offense is just dinking and dunking to Austin Eckler and having him create after the catch, which he's very good at. But to me, one of the most underrated aspects of the 49ers defense is how good they are at making tackles in the open field and how good they are at not allowing guys to make them miss and create these big plays. So if I'm them, I'm forcing this Chargers offense missing, Mike Williams and looking like they're going to be missing Keenan Allen to have guys like Palmer and Carter and some of the other receivers who've had to step up. I'm making those guys beat my corners in man coverage. I'm making them beat me rather than Justin Herbert and sitting back in his zone and allowing them to pick it apart. So I think the line is 6.5. I don't know if it's changed since I saw it last, but at first I was like, man, that seems a little bit high. But now the more and more I'm digging into it, I'm like, it honestly could be higher. It could be Niners -8 the way this is shaping up. So I don't want to just come in and predict blowout, but this is a matchup that the 49ers, it's very favorable and they should win this game.
Right. What do you think? Who do you like Sunday night?
I think the Niners, I'm more worried with these teams that are a little more conservative and they don't really beat themselves, because the Niners have a tendency, especially when they're kind of playing down to competition, to actually beat themselves. But I feel like the Chargers, the Chargers are gonna Charger. They're gonna have a bunch of turnovers, they're going to miss an extra point. They're going to not get the 2 point. I mean, Jordan, what do you attribute that to? Like, how is it possible that they have Justin Herbert and he's this unbelievable player, yet somehow they're still snake bitten?
I think a lot of it's just like scheme. Like I'm not a big fan of the scheme. I think Lombardi's the OC there, if I recall correctly, came from New Orleans, and it feels like they're running. It feels like a lot of the time, and this is just like a very simplistic outlook from what I've seen. You know, it feels like he's calling plays for 40-year-old Drew Brees that was, you know, had waning arm strength and didn't really have the ability to push the ball downfield. And he has a guy with one of the best arms I've ever seen in the NFL that makes throws that literally like leave me speechless. And it feels like that's been their biggest problem, is that there's this. I don't think the scheme fits the talent at quarterback. I think you build around the quarterback and not vice versa. You don't have the quarterback fit to the scheme. You fit the scheme to the quarterback. And to me, it just feels like this very 2019, 2020 New Orleans-ish offense. And Drew Brees is a first ballot Hall of Famer, but him and Justin Herbert are entirely different talents. And I think that the way they've been utilizing him has been very beneficial to opponents, because it feels like a lot of the big time throws he's making aren't built within structure. It's stuff that he's having to do later in games that are much closer than they need to be because of the way that things have played out, due to, again, like it just feels like their entire offense are these little quick outs 5 yards up the field, or dumping the ball off to Austin Eckler in the backfield. And that's like wild to me to think about when you have a talent like Justin Herbert, at your quarterback.
To me, the key is wrap up against Eckler, because Eckler is just an absolute monster. He's one of these guys that has like Barry Sanders like balance. Danny, what do you see Sunday night?
I think the Niners can run on them, which will open up more of the passing game, because Chargers are going to – I expect to see a lot of play action, just because Chargers are going to have to bite on that. And I think we could see some slants over the middle, Kittle and Debo, McCaffrey. I think the middle of the field is going to be wide open, just because their run defense is so bad that once the Niners start running on them, you know, that's just going to, like I say, open up the passing game. Also, I think one of their key defensive linemen went out last week, and their top DL, not Boza, but interior defensive lineman.
Is it Jones? Was it?
I can't remember. I'm not really familiar with their roster. I just read that one of their interior defensive linemen went down and is going to be out for the game. And
I think it was Justin Jackson, maybe.
Maybe that it might have been. So I think the Niners, if they control the ball, don't make turnovers, they should be able to win by 10 plus. They're hurting with their wide receivers. I mean, that's another reason Herbert hasn't been as effective. I mean, he's been without Keenan Allen practically all season. Mike Williams has been out with a high ankle sprain for a few weeks. When you don't have two of your go-to targets, it really messes you up as a QB in this league. So I just think overall the Niners, but hopefully they don't take them lightly. I'm hoping they're at a place after losing games they shouldn't have lost to Atlanta and Chicago and Denver. Those three losses, I'm hoping they have enough looking back and saying, gosh, we can't afford to be looked down on anybody. Come out and start smoking people. And, they should have the goal of, I know it's a week-to-week league, but shoot, they should be able to win 7 of the next 9 if they play to their potential.
Hey, 3 last questions, Jordan, before we let you go. One is Jaguayo56 says, here's $2. How concerning is Armstead's health moving forward? What are you hearing on Armstead? And what do you think? When do you think we'll see him?
I think it's going to be relatively soon. I think if there was really concern for a long-term thing, I think the 49ers would have made the move to put him on IR. So I do think that there is some optimism that he will be back soon. If I recall correctly, it was like a hairline fracture in his ankle or something like that. It was something on top.
Yeah, it was a hairline fracture on the other foot that's not the plantar fasciitis
so
one.
For a guy like him, to me, you never want to downplay the significance of a regular season game. They're all important. That's what makes the NFL such a great product. But for a guy like Armstead, he's a needle mover when the postseason comes around. He's somebody when you get into late December that, like last year without him, the 49ers don't even make the playoffs, let alone win a couple games on the road. And I can see how the 49ers might be taking a little bit more of an cautious approach where they're optimistic that down the line, let's not rush him back. Let's be a little overly cautious and get him back maybe week 12, week 13, rather than trying to rush him back week 10. I just think that he's way too important to the success of this team. And I think that there's so many other talented players that have stepped up in his absence that it's made a lot of fans maybe forget just how pivotal Eric Armstead is to the success of the 49ers. So I think it's just at the point now where they're being overly cautious and really gearing him up to ramp up for a stretch run into, December in the postseason.
I think that's smart. You need this guy when it matters. Keep him off his feet and dust him off when it matters. What's your biggest concern? Want all three of your guys' thoughts on this one. What's your biggest concern coming out of the bye week for the 49ers? And give me one player that you think is going to step up and have a huge second half.
You're in the middle, Jordan.
Okay, my first. I would say my biggest concern, like it's an easy one, so I hate to take the easy answer, but it's how is the cornerback position opposite Mooney Ward going to perform, and how are they going to be able to scheme around that the way we've seen them, do it in the past. So, I think that it's something that will sort itself out organically. I think that DeMeco Ryans is so good at what he does. Enjoy every last game you get to see him calling this 49ers defense, because I don't think there's any chance that a team doesn't scoop him up this upcoming offseason. So I would say that corner position is the biggest concern. And then if I'm thinking of a player that I think is going to have a big half that maybe didn't, have a great first half or didn't, really jump off the screen, I think it's going to be Jimmy Ward. I think Jimmy Ward getting healthy again and getting it back up to game speed, he's just so good. I think he's the best coverage safety in the NFL. I think he's one of the few guys you can leave on an island with a guy like a Travis Kelce or with a guy like a Cooper Kupp on a 3rd and 8 or a 3rd and 9 and still be highly effective while having the ability to fit his gaps in the box, defend the run. You can play single high. He can play too high. He's such a good player. I think that Jimmy Ward is going to kind of show people again why he is that Pro Bowl caliber safety and why he's one of the best in the league, in my opinion. So Jimmy Ward is going to be my pick.
Rye,
good pick.
Number one concern, Rye, and the guy who's going to step up in the second half.
I'd say probably number one concern is I'm going to say tackle positions. So McGlinchey, inconsistent. There's been some good and some bad. And then Trent, injury. And then at times has looked kind of like he's over the hill on the ascending downward, not quite prime Trent. And so I'm going to be looking for them to honestly put up, because I weirdly trust this interior, and maybe it's because like the interior is not as important, but like I really trust Banks and I trust Burford, and Brendel's been fine. So as long as McGlinchey and Trent are awesome, then the rest of these weapons in the offense and Jimmy G, I think that they're gonna cook up a pretty good offense in the second half. And then guy I'm looking for to break out. How about Sammy Womack? He's made plays whenever he's had the chance. He makes the play. He's on special teams, and the dude makes he's made 3 of the best special teams plays this year, including the fumble punch out and that sick one where he was playing spike ball in the end zone when Mitch Wishnowsky was going off. I think that was the Denver game. But yeah, I want to see him get out there, and much like the Seattle rookies on defense, see if just maybe he's going to improve. People don't think about improvement from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, but it happens, especially with rookies. So maybe put him out there and maybe, I don't know. I could see him having a big second half.
Proctor's concerned. He says Jimmy having to come back from a deficit in the playoffs and Bosa wrecking game plans in the second half in the playoffs to lead the Niners to the Super Bowl. Danny, go ahead. What's your number one concern coming out of the bye? Who's the guy that's going to have the big second half?
All right. Well, the first obvious concern is which we have no control over, is health, losing key guys as they did. But if I looked at an actual concern of a position, I'm kind of going to go with Jordan there at the cornerback position. Had a thought, wanted to pass to you guys before I pick a player. I know you said Jimmy's a great cover safety, but do you think there's a possibility that, he used to play corner. Could they put him at corner and put Gibson at free safety if they were really trying to get the best players out there? Could anybody see that?
I think it's within the realm of possibility. I just think that you're doing a disservice overall, because ultimately then what you're doing in my eyes
weakening two positions.
Exactly. And so Gibson's been playing fantastic for them this year. So if they feel comfortable rolling forward with that, I don't blame it. But I don't think you're getting the most out of Jimmy Ward. And Jimmy Ward's the guy that you paid, in relative terms, the big money to. And there's a reason why. So I'd be hesitant to do so, but I also think that it's something that you could get away with doing 8, 9, 10 times a game, especially when you get into those third and longs and you are playing, a team that really likes to go to the tight end or really likes to go to a player in the slot. Then I absolutely think that having 3 safeties on the field, it's a luxury they have, but I wouldn't make it I wouldn't have Jimmy Ward just playing exclusively at slot corner, and I wouldn't have him, not playing safety ahead of, I would have him out there as the starting safety. And if you get to a spot where you bring in Gibson and you have Ward spin down, then absolutely. And I think they will do that. I just would have a hard time starting Gibson over Ward.
Yeah, I hear you. My players, I'm going to pick one on offense and one on defense. There's obvious candidates all over the field on offense, but I'm going to go with Kittle, kind of a unexpected, I think, with the addition of McCaffrey, I think, and Debo out there, I think Kittle's going to kind of get ignored a little bit more, and he's going to be left open. And I expect his production to go up. Plus, he's on my fantasy team, so he's got to take off. And defensively, I'm going to predict.
When did you add him, though?
Jeez, I drafted him, man.
All right. Just making sure.
I'm gonna say that Nick Bosa has 11 plus sacks in the final 9 games.
Nice. All right. I'm gonna say my biggest concern is just the health of the Wards, health of Jimmy, health of Charvarius. I think if the Niners really, any scenario that I see that has the 49ers winding up in Glendale on Super Bowl Sunday involves Jimmy Ward and Charvarius Ward playing healthy and playing really good football in the playoffs. So that's my big concern. Can those two guys stay healthy? Because Charvarius had the groin. Jimmy's been hurt a lot. He's been playing with the club. If both those guys can somehow, in the midst of playing football, round back into shape, I think that's the big key. And as far as bust out guys, I'm going to say one on defense, one on offense as well. On offense, it's going to be Christian McCaffrey. I think McCaffrey is the right player in the right moment, in the right offense, with the right motivation. I think he's going off. And then on defense, I'm going to say Drake Jackson. I think Jackson's got a world of talent. And, we see him every week down in the locker room. He's not hitting that rookie wall where they just look real tired and beat up and sore. He looks fresh and encouraged and energized, and he looks like he's on an upward trajectory. So I'm going to say Jackson on defense, McCaffrey on offense, and the Ward staying healthy. And Jordan, we appreciate you joining us. Why don't we finish up with this one? Big Led Zeppelin fan. Greatest Led Zeppelin song. What is your greatest Led Zeppelin song? I'm going to go with 3 of mine. I love when I first started on KMBR back in the day and I was doing the nighttime show, the very first intro that I had for my show, which was just really, really cool. And we can't play it here because we'll get docked. But In the Evening, 1979, I believe Zeppelin came out with In the Evening. It's an awesome song. But the open is just so cool, and I love that open. The other one I really love, All My Love, also 1979, just an awesome song. it's. I don't believe Page wrote. I don't think it was written or co-written by Page. But supposedly it's Plant's mystical tribute to his son Karak, who died in '77. But those two, All My Love and In the Evening, were two of my very, very favorite. And if I'm going with one other, I mean, I always loved When the Levee Breaks. That's my girl in college gave me the box set for one of my Christmases with all 4 CDs in it. Remember what CDs were? Maybe I'd go with Gallows Pole. I love Gallows Pole, which they wrote in 1970. So there you go. Those are my 3 Zeppelin songs. If I got to listen to them all day, all night. But when the Levee Breaks is damn good. Kashmir, damn good. Whole Lot of Love, damn good. Stairway to Heaven. There's Ramble On. I mean, there's a lot of great ones. So, but those are the ones for me. Jordan, what are you going with?
So I have a lot, right off the bat, I think Led Zeppelin 4 is the best album of all time. It never gets old. I listen to it a few times a week. It's just, they are fantastic. I think they're the greatest band of all time. I'm very fortunate that I had parents that, put me on at a young age to appreciate music from, back then. So it's really hard.
The little Jordan Elliot was riding around in the back of the station wagon, and Mom and Dad were listening to Zepp.
Dude, I drove around with
That's
my
awesome.
dad listening to Led Zeppelin and B.B. King and The Doors and Van Morrison, ton of Van Morrison. So I'm a big Van Morrison guy.
Van Morrison, my wife and I on our wedding day, and now here's the couple, Mr. and Mrs. Kruger. We danced to Crazy Love by Van Morrison.
Fantastic song.
Great song.
He's another guy who never misses.
I saw Van Morrison in concert with his daughter at Shoreline. His daughter was really, really talented. I believe Bob Dylan might have been part of that show. Bob Dylan. If you've never seen Bob Dylan worked so damn hard in a concert that he would sweat through his entire suit. I mean, it was unbelievable. But go ahead. I interrupted you. So Zeppelin, what's your Zeppelin?
So I going to California always is one that will be there for me. I love the mandolin in it. I love the tone of it, and being from California, it's just that one has a special meaning to me. So I always have that one there. Fool in the Rain is definitely one.
Yes.
Over the Hills and Far Away is absolutely one. Dire Maker is another one. It's so hard to pick. Just I know it's probably the most popular, the most commercial of it. I still think Stairway is such a good song, especially for what it is, 7 minutes long, and it never gets old for me.
That's how you know someone's a Led Zeppelin fan, is they just call it Stairway.
Well, and also when the drum bit there, when the thing starts to really rev up in Stairway to Heaven, that's pretty freaking sweet.
And then another one, 10 Years Gone is another one that's all time for me. It's there's so many to pick. I think they're the best band of all time. I'm a little bit biased, but yeah, I am always open to talk and listen to Led Zeppelin anytime.
Very cool. Anytime I see anybody, and even if I see somebody young wearing Zeppelin stuff, I'm always like, very cool, very cool.
If Led Zeppelin was a quarterback in today's NFL, who would he be? Or who would they be? Sorry. Who
would they be? Larry might be better fit to answer that than me, but if I had to say so,
Herbert.
I feel like he's. I feel like with you have to be a little bit outgoing. I feel like with Plant, he was a little. He had a lot of energy.
I would say Jim Kelly, somebody like that. Somebody just tried and true, but just lots of energy. Yeah, I do agree. Lots of energy. Jim Kelly.
I don't know if it would fit, but I was going to say, he's not in the league right now. I was going to say almost Cam Newton, maybe. Just the energy, the vibe, I don't know if that is a great comparison, again, because I'm a big fan of the music, but I obviously wasn't around for a lot of the stuff they weren't doing in the studio. But I feel like it would have to be somebody that has a ton of that, again, is tried and true, like Larry said, but also has that, energy and that stage presence and really
the juice.
And, exactly, the juice. Yeah,
I'll give you somebody. How about this one? How about Randall Cunningham?
Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah,
Randall Cunningham had juice, major juice.
See, I'm at a funny point here because I'm pretty sure I'm Jordan's age, but I'm like, obviously, like this is what you guys are having a little bit more of like a classic, like Greg Cosell, like maybe Greg Cosell's on Murph and Mac, and they ask him some stuff about these fans from the 80s, and I'm like, okay.
He's a big Skinnerd fan. I heard.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, he's a big Skinnerd fan.
But then also even Randall Cunningham, it's like I know who he is from like backyard football, like 1990 or like 2001.
He played for UNLV. He had a huge arm. He could run. He was
if he played in this NFL right now, he would be a top 5 quarterback, in my opinion, like no doubt. If he got to play with the way the modern NFL is set up, he was so ahead of the curve for that big armed mobile quarterback that all these teams are coveting now. He was special.
Like the size of Geno Smith, but the mobility of a faster guy, like a maybe not quite Kyler fast, but fast. Okay, Rye, do you have a Zeppelin? Or are you?
No. Well, I mean, I know of him. Like I know of Randall Cunningham, but I never really saw him play. If you know what I mean.
Jaguar 56 says, "Here's $2. Cashmere, Achilles' Last Stand, and Stairway to Heaven." Danny, what say you?
Oh yeah, whole lot of love.
Whole lot of love, yes.
Yeah,
that's a great riff.
Yeah, and Stairway, of course, and kind of a little bit more mild. Going to California, the song about Joni Mitchell.
Yeah. Okay. I've go listen to that one again.
You're in Arizona, right, Dan?
Yeah.
Every time I drive back from spring training, when I'm going into like Blythe on the border there, I always listen to Going to California when I'm crossing back into California.
Okay.
Out there in the desert, it always.
I grew up in the Bay Area, so I've been in Arizona since 2004, but pretty much, California is my roots. That's why I'm, Bay Area sports nut, so I could never. I don't know. I've never been one of those guys that moves to an area and then goes like, "Oh, I'm following this team. This is my home." I just stick with my team.
By the way,
that's a brand new Diamondbacks jersey I see see over there, isn't that? Is that a Cliff Kingsbury jersey I see right there?
Larry, did you guys already talk about the Willie Mays documentary, or was?
No.
I'm not sure if anybody else has seen it. Jordan, have you seen it?
I have not had the chance to yet. I'm very.
It's awesome.
To see it. Yeah.
It's awesome. It's on HBO Max. Danny, have you seen it?
I haven't seen it. No, and I need to.
Rye, have you seen it?
I just off of your recommendation. I just watched like the first like hour and 10 or something like that.
2 hours, I think.
Yeah. So, I saw. There's a lot of stuff from the beginning I didn't know that was interesting. Like I didn't know that when he came to San Francisco that it was all about Joe DiMaggio.
Oh yeah. Oh, are you kidding me? I can remember as a little kid. We were members of the Salesian Boys Club. My dad was, big wig at the Boys Club when he grew up in North Beach. And man, all those old Italians, it was like they didn't want to give Willie Mays, Willie McCovey, Orlando Cepeda, or really any of the new Giants. It was always like they ain't DiMaggio. Like DiMaggio had a huge impact as
San Francisco
guy grew up. Yeah, I mean, he had a hitting streak with the Seals, and the Seals were kind of like pro baseball then, and people just didn't want to give Mays his initially. Eventually,
I don't
won them over.
What would that be like? If the Warriors fans were like more into Damian Lillard at first or something like that?
No, it'd be like if somehow, let's just say somehow the Warriors came here from another city and Steph was already, on the team. And let's say we never had pro basketball before, but man, people were really into like Gary Payton and Jason Kidd and KJ because they were all local, and you know what I mean. Because I mean, it was just because of San Francisco. We like to think of ourselves as a very sophisticated sports market, but this is one of the most provincial towns in the country, and people here love their own, and so there was a love of DiMaggio. Eventually, Mays became the guy, and it wasn't. But like when he first stepped in late 50s, the people gravitated to Cepeda and to McCovey because they were homegrown Giants and they hadn't played in New York, and they just thought Willie Mays was never going to make it out, and they just didn't realize And then eventually he won them all over because he was that freaking awesome. Hey, Jordan, we're going to let you go, but tell people who, are checking you out and
tell us
rent
your
stuff
name, how old you are, where do you live?
Exactly. No, but tell us what you got going on Niners Nation between now and Sunday. If people want to check you out and see what you're writing about between now and game day, what do you got going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So I write Niners Nation. I do my writing there. I am very happy I was able to fill something every day throughout the bye week, which was a challenge I gave myself. I tried to figure out a way to keep that airtime going. So I have a couple things over the last couple days, just kind of, I wrote something about Brandon Ayuk and how he's been a very reliable target on third down. This year, actually, he's third in the league on first down conversions among wide receivers on 3rd and 7+. When the 49ers get behind the sticks a little bit, keep an eye on Brandon Ayuk because they've been targeting him quite a bit in those situations. Between now and the game, when I get off with you guys, I'm going to finish up my game preview for tomorrow that I do every Friday. So I'll have some good stats from both sides. Something to watch out for in the game, and some of the little nuggets that I pick up throughout the week. And I don't think I'll do anything Saturday. I typically Friday and Saturday are the 2 days a week that I don't write. So I'll have something up Friday, but Saturday and Sunday morning I probably won't have anything up. But if you want to check out the game preview, definitely head to Niners Nation because it's not just me over there. Obviously, there's a ton of great people doing great work there. And Sunday night through Thursday night. So I have something coming out Monday through Friday pretty much every week. And I try to keep it very, there's so much great reporting going on with, what players are saying during press conferences and what's happening during practices. I try to, carve a different lane where it's, game analysis, previews, different statistics and things like that. So just to try to add some different flavor to the already great reporting that's being done by everybody covering the 49ers. So if you're looking for something a little different, definitely head over to Niners Nation and I'll, hopefully have something covered for you over there.
There you go. MF says, love Niners Nation. I do as well. Kyle Posey and all the good people at Niners Nation. You guys do a great job. All right, Jordan. Hey, we'll let you get on with your night, man. Thanks for stopping by. Always good to rap with you. You're one of our favorites, and keep up the great work. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, fellas. Everybody have a good weekend. Good to see you guys.
Later, Jordan.
Later, man. There you go, Jordan Elliott. Eric
now it's
L.
time to eat.
Rip the Giants. Rip the Giants, Larry. All right, let's do this. We'll play our commercials. We'll come back with a final thought and maybe a rip or two of the Giants, and we'll see what Danny's eating. All that straight ahead. That will hold them.
Larry Kruger here for Telmetrics. Thanks to Casey Bateman and the good people at Telmetrics. If you're an occupational therapist, if you're an orthopedic surgeon, a chiropractor, a physical therapist of any kind, Telmetrics is designed for you to use in your practice and will greatly benefit your patients. Telmetrics uses computer vision and artificial intelligence and provides a platform for outpatient rehab therapy services, both in the clinical and the telehealth environments. So using Telmetrics can improve your patient's experience and much more. So for all your sports injury needs, or if you're a physical rehabilitation specialist of any kind, call and make sure you use telmetrics.co, Telmetrix.co. And thanks to Casey Bateman and all the good people at Telmetrics for being a proud sponsor of the Krueg. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Dan Coach Emilio. Dan is a buddy, and he is a phenomenal retirement planning specialist. And you can contact him today at securemoney.com or at his number 925-628-9966. There's a lot of uncertainty in our world right now, and you want to make sure that your money is secure. That is the key. Danny's got 25 years of experience, born and raised right here in the Bay Area, and he can help you get an immediate 10% premium bonus on your principal retirement account. So give him a call, 925-628-9966. He'll make an appointment with you, and you can sit down. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of a deal. He'll consult with you and come up with a strategy to get you going to where you want to be. Once again, 925-628-9966, securemoney.com on the web. And thanks to Tony Casera and the good people at Casera's Italian Menswear. They are housing the Krueg Show t-shirts, and they're a proud sponsor of the show as well. The Krueg Show t-shirt, the Krueg Show podcast t-shirt is available there at their store in Dublin. Their address is 7372 San Ramon Road in Dublin, California. And go see Tony Casera and get yourself a Krueg Show t-shirt and support the show. And special thanks to our sponsor, New York Style Italian Sausage. That's right, NewYorkStyleSausage.com is their website. Phenomenal product, whether it's the breakfast sausage, the Italian mild, the Italian spicy, the chorizo. You cannot go wrong with New York Style Italian Sausage. Once again, NewYorkStyleSausage.com, often imitated, never equaled.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you were, no matter where the hell you were, you came to dinner on a Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday dinner without sausage, it's like a church without God. You know, how can you go to church if you don't believe in God? You know, and along with the sausage also became the discussions. That was discussion night. You know, it wasn't a typical family that you sit there and you're quiet, you know, and you don't talk with a mouthful. Oh no, man. Italians talk when they're eating. Italians even talk when they're sleeping. And definitely we talk with our hands. So if we can't express it through our mouth, through our lips, we express it with our hands. So, and that's what sausage is, really. It's an expression, you know, that life is good.
So New York Style Sausage was started over 70 years ago. We are the largest producer of fresh Italian sausage on the West Coast.
What makes our sausage in New York style is really the recipe came from back east, from New York, you know, from Connecticut.
If you look at all of our labels, there's maximum 4 or 5 ingredients, which we're really proud of.
There's no preservatives, no MSG, fresh in, fresh out.
The pork comes in fresh, goes out fresh. There's never any freezing throughout the process. We've always used fine quality cuts. We're never gonna deter from that. It's one of the reasons why our sausage is so good. I guarantee you put our sausage up against anybody else's from a flavor standpoint, no one will beat it, hands down.
Hey, do yourself a favor and do me a favor. Go buy a package of the New York style Italian sausage. Guaranteed you will love it. Guaranteed.
All right, welcome back to the Krueg Show. We're in the home stretch on a Thursday night. All right, let's hit the chat one more time, and then we will get on with the rest of our night. Eric L. says, rip the Giants, Larry, rip the Giants. What's their rip? I mean, then they haven't done anything yet, but I will say this. I don't understand the whole Yaz, Slater, Wade are all coming back. I thought they wanted to stop getting guys who platoon. I don't know how they're going to turn this thing over if they keep sticking with guys like that. And I don't understand really why they would stick with Yaz. I don't get it all. Wade, I don't get it all. Slater, I guess I could get because I think there's been some, you know, he's not bad in small doses, but even what's his great claim to fame? He's got no power, no speed, no anything really. I mean, he's just totally mediocre across the board. I think he's vastly overrated defensively. He doesn't seem to me like he comes through in the clutch. He doesn't hit for a lot of power. So he's not a stolen base guy, though he is pretty quick. I don't know. I don't see an everyday guy there. I see a mediocre right-handed hitter who, you know, I just don't see special with Austin Slater. I know there's other people that see special traits there. So all I'll say is this. If the Giants don't wind up getting significant free agents this offseason, man, there's going to be hell to pay as far as Giants fans on social media with Farhan, because I mean they're just
for checks.
You just can't talk as much as he's talked. People are like, "Oh, you're so angry at Farhan." I'm not angry. I'm just sick of the whole let's talk a big game. Hey, Seiya Suzuki, Trevor Story. And then when it comes time for the actual moves, it's like, here's Padlo and Fairchild and a bunch of no-name Papirskis. And then, so that's what he did at the beginning of the year. But then he did it again at the break, at the trade deadline, where it was like, maybe they're going for Soto. And then I've got a couple Giants fans who are just so drinking the Kool-Aid today. They're like, you know, they got J.D. Davis and he outplayed Soto. What? Okay, what, for a few games? I mean, there's no baseball person worth his weight in anything that would take J.D. Davis over Juan Soto. So I don't know where that guy's even going with that. But all I got to say is that you can talk big names once and go for small names. You can do it twice. You cannot do it a third time. And today the big talk was, man, they could see themselves spending a lot of money, and there is no player that's out of their budget and blah, blah. That's fine. You want to talk a big game? Talk a big game. You better freaking deliver results, or you're going to get booed out of your own yard, and justifiably so. You cannot be the boy that cried wolf. You cannot say, we're going big, we're going big, we're going big, we're going big, and then just keep going, not big, going with nothing, with minor league has-beens, never-beens, never-weres. I mean, you know what I mean? It's one thing to say, well, we're going Aaron Judge, but it's like, it's no different than if your buddy told you that he's pricing Lambos and Ferraris, and you saw him 3 weeks later and he's riding the 25 San Bruno, and he's like, wait a second, where's your Lambo? Where's your Ferrari? Oh, no, I like the Muni. It works out well for my schedule, and the stop is right by my. No, you're just a lying sack of crap at that point, and the Giants are too if they don't do something here. So, you know what? Talk all you want, but you better deliver. They talked big before, they didn't deliver. If they talk big again and don't deliver, their fans are going to notice. That's all I'm saying. And Jaguayo 56 says, I was lucky to see Zeppelin in Oakland in 1977. Look at that. I'd love to hear Jaguayo tell us about that. And then MF says, documentary on HBO? My dad wants to watch it with me. Oh, I thought it was really good. I don't know if it was the greatest documentary of all time, but it was good. It was really good. And I liked seeing Barry comment, and I liked seeing John Miller comment. And I thought it was really interesting, kind of, San Francisco, which loves to celebrate its diversity and how open everybody is and how everybody loves everybody, and it's peace and love. And, racial discontent is something that's only happens outside of in other places. And yet, there were people back in the day that didn't want Willie Mays to live on their block in San Francisco because of the color of his skin. And that happened. And so I'm really glad that this documentary highlights that, because I think there's an awful lot of people that don't understand that's part of the story. And that's how much times have changed. People say, oh, there hasn't been any change. There has been a lot of change, but that also happened. And I'm glad that the documentary kind of, documentaries have a way of remembering history for all of us. And I'm glad that was in the documentary. So I would definitely recommend anybody to watch it. It was a little uneventful on the back end, and a little slow, and a little bit too much use of Costas. Who the hell's Costas? I mean, seriously, he's not a Giants fan. I mean, I know he's somewhat of baseball historian and this and that, but I mean, way too much importance into Bob Costas. But he did make a couple of really good points, so I'll give him that. All right, I would have liked to have seen more stuff from Giants people and less stuff from just some, baseball fan, a Yankee fan from New York or whatever, or Cardinal fan or whatever he calls himself. Mickey walking around with his Mickey Mantle card in his wallet. But he did make some points on Mays that were really, really good. So I will say I thought it was a well done documentary. HBO has done some of the greatest documentaries of all time. I would recommend anybody, if you haven't seen it, go watch the Shot Heard Around the World documentary made by HBO. Ralph Branca, Bobby Thompson. I interviewed both of them when that documentary came out in the 90s. And HBO had a big party in the city. And I remember going to that and meeting those guys and having drinks and swapping stories. And it was incredible. And then the Where Have You Gone, Joe DiMaggio documentary on DiMaggio made by HBO, also in the 90s.
Oh, I thought that was made by Simon and Garfunkel, that line.
Yeah, exactly. Simon and Garfunkel memorialized him in one of their songs. Where have you gone, Joe DiMaggio? The nation lends its lonely eyes towards you, or something.
Jolton Joe has gone away. Yeah. Hey.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great song.
Yeah.
That was a great song. So, But the DiMaggio documentary, guys, is absolutely spectacular, and I'm going to go look for it actually when I go back in the house because it's worth watching. It really is. All right. Somebody said rip the Giants. There you go. I don't have. We'll hold off on ripping the Giants, but guys, give us a final thought. Warriors go tomorrow night. We're hoping to do a live stream tomorrow night after Warriors Cavs. I think the Cavs are going to get them. I really do. What did you say the spread was, Rye? It's Warriors by one or two.
It's Warriors by 1.5. So it's interesting because it's saying, it's saying that the Cavs are a better team because the Warriors' home court, especially off 3 days rest and during this skid, is worth like at least 2.5 or 3 points to the spread, maybe more. I'll probably like 5 or 6. So yeah, I would normally expect this to be like a 7-point line for the Warriors. So I don't know. I told Larry that I like the Warriors in the game, but that maybe the play is, if you're looking from a gambling angle, because like the Warriors starting lineup is still the best starting lineup in the league.
Listen to this gambling angle, Danny. This might be a multiple time cash.
I think I can. Yeah. Okay. This is going to be good. Okay. So, like Steph Curry has his best plus minus since the 73-9 win season.
Right.
So their starting lineup is actually unbelievable, but their bench is all time bad. And especially the fourth quarter is bad. Usually before the game, you can bet quarters.
I was going to say first quarter.
Yeah, we should just start betting Warriors first quarter, Warriors third quarter, and then the opposite team bet their second and fourth quarter. I bet that wins at like a 60% clip.
Seriously, I don't think that's bad because we're seeing that, the Warriors are getting off to a good start, then the second team's coming in.
Larry had an even better version of just the second Wiseman gets in, live bet the other team.
Seriously, because he's not conducive to winning right now, and it's just going to take a little time. Eric L says the Kings just played very good against the Cavs. Didn't the Kings get the Cavs tonight?
Kings beat them.
So you got the Cavs, probably coming in pissed off. Final thought on tonight, though. I mean, we got the Niners and Chargers. Feel real good about the Niners getting a win here. And I'm not feeling good about the Warriors right now as far as how they're looking. I'm really gonna keep my ear, probably on my phone, my hand, and my Twitter, basically keeping an eye on Twitter all weekend long because I really think that the Giants do want Aaron Judge. And I think they do know that a big part of him wanting them is going to be about what they do before he signs. So I think the Giants are not going to be in your typical Farhan, hey, wake us in January and we'll try to get great deals between January and spring training. Yeah. I think they're going to be proactive and trying to send a message. So I'm not sure if that's going to be with Carlos Correa, Trey Turner, Xander Bogaerts, who's the other shortstop, Danny, that's out there?
Trey Turner.
Oh, Swanson and Bogaerts.
Well, then there's, the one thing that we talk endlessly about the free agent market, and there's been so much speculation about the people that are out there. But then there was an article out this week that I would encourage people to check out. I think it was MLB.com, and it was like the 15 or 20 guys that are most likely to be traded. And one of the guys on that list is Javi Baez.
Interesting.
And you know what? The Giants may look around at the cost of these shortstops, and then you could probably get Javi Baez for almost nothing if you were willing to take his contract off of the Tigers' hands. Now, Baez has done some incredibly unprofessional things where he's just, at times he just almost looks like he's like there's something wrong, like he's got some kind of either focus issue or he's mad or I don't know. He's just played some really dumb baseball at times. But then his numbers, when you looked at his numbers for the year, he must have rebounded a little bit in the second half, Danny, when I wasn't watching. And do you have his numbers in front of you? He kind of turned it around a little bit.
I mean, it's interesting. I kind of feel like he's a Draymond
what if you
Green.
Could get him for nothing?
Yeah, I feel like he's a Draymond Green where he's like he's great for like a really great team that's contending and in playoff contention. Then he's gonna like all that swag and everything and all that energy is contagious. But if you end up on like kind of a crappy team, that can go. It's kind of like the Warriors without Steph and Clay with just Draymond is pretty ugly. And
Can Javi can play second, right? He plays short, but he can play second.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So he hit
238.
238 with 17 home runs and 67 RBIs and a terrible on base. 278 on base. But he's not old. Let's see. He was born in 92. So he's not old. He's 29.
Yeah.
He's one of the most electric players in the game to watch.
Right. He is exciting.
He's an exciting, fun player to watch who makes the greatest tags of all time.
Yeah.
I could be happy with them adding a guy like
Baez. He definitely plays second base.
So. What do you think of him defensively?
He's not bad. He makes some spectacular plays at times. Like you said, he's kind of
he's a showman.
Yeah, he's a showman. I mean, he plays second, short, and third.
What does El Mago mean?
What does what mean?
El Mago? That's his nickname.
I have no idea.
I don't know either. But I'll say this: he's only 29. He wouldn't cost you. I mean, obviously, you probably
didn't he sign a big deal with Detroit for like 5 years or something?
Right. He's got a big contract, but if you're willing to take his contract, you could probably get him for almost nothing.
Right. You know, maybe a prospect.
You know, I mean, not even a good prospect. That's what I'm saying. I mean, you know, so outside of like the guys that, you know, you're thinking about signing, you know, so there's like 10 teams that want Correa and Bogarts and Trey Turner. And so not all those teams are going to get those players. If the Giants are on the outside looking in, a pivot point might not be bad, which might not be bad, would be Baez. I like Baez. I like Baez's entertainment value. I wouldn't mind watching him every day.
I'm going to look up his contract here.
Glass half full guy says, here's $4.99. Would you guys take back Bumgarner? I would. Now, I wouldn't take back Bumgarner without them sweetening the pot because I think he's owed like $40 million. But if they're willing to give you Pavin Smith or, you know, some piece to the puzzle, I'd take Pavin Smith as my first baseman replacing Belt.
Yeah, he's got a. Yeah.
El Mago is the magician. Thank you, Romo.
What's going on?
We got this one from Glass Half Full Guy. I'd sign Anthony Rizzo. MF says get Jake McCarthy. Exactly. Like I would go after Bumgarner and then say, hey, look, I'll take $40 million of Bumgarner. Give me, and I'll even throw you a prospect or two, a Hunter Bishop, who might be popular, like let's say to the ASU crowd. But give me Pavin Smith and Jake McCarthy. And now you've got your first baseman. Now you've got a fast outfielder. And you've got a pitcher who you know is going to make 30 starts a year and be very durable and be very popular. So that I would take on Bumgarner. I really would. I don't think the Giants will, but I think they should think outside the box. And, you know, why not use your relative, you know, wealth as a franchise as a way to make good deals? And if you can get a good deal out of Arizona because you'll take that Bumgarner money off their hands, you know what? I would do it. I absolutely would do it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to look up Kotz and it's not, for some reason it's not moving right now. I'm trying to look.
What are you looking for?
I was trying to see his contract, Javi Baez. Let me look at it. I can pull up another way. Okay. So he signed for 6 years, 140,000. That's really not that bad.
Million.
I mean, yeah, 140 million. So
what if it was 140,000?
So 140 divided by 6 is what? Just under 25, about 23 and a half, roughly. Yeah, roughly 23,300. So you probably only have. Looks like he's earning a base salary of 22 million. That's probably more affordable than what it would take to get some of these other guys. Yeah, because you're probably looking at, for these shortstops, I'm guessing you're looking at
and you know who the GM in Detroit is.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Scott Harris. Yeah, so you could probably make that deal pretty easily. So I'm looking at Javi's contract. 6 years, 140, goes through 2027. He made 20 million this last year. He's going to make 22 next year. 25 in 2024, 25 in 2025, 24 in 2026. So he's making 24 24, 25 million a year.
What do you think Detroit would want out of that, or do you think
nothing.
they want to build around him?
No, I think they would hand him to the Giants to get out from underneath the deal.
You think they'll regret it? You think?
Oh
maybe...
yeah. Well, first of all, it wasn't signed by this GM, so
right?
That's part of it, and also that's a lot of money for a guy who had the kind of stats that he had this year. Javi Baez.
Well, I do think a trade is coming, and here's why. The Giants.
I mean, you're going to pay that 238, 17 home runs with a 278 on base, and you owe him $25 million a year for the next 5 years. Hell yes. If the Giants said, hey, we'll take on Javi's contract, they would get him for nothing. Nothing.
Well, yeah, and the Giants do need to make some trades.
You could probably trade Tommy La Stella and you could probably get Javi Baez for Tommy La Stella and that guy, Will Wilson. Tommy La Stella and Will Wilson would probably land you Javi Baez just on the money alone.
Yeah, that would be a good deal. Here, the Giants need to make some trades coming up here.
And that's the kind of creative deal that I would love to see, too.
Wouldn't be surprised to see it happen in the next week or two, because I believe on the 18th of November, they need to protect their guys on the Rule 5 draft. And the roster is pretty full now with all these waiver pickups. I don't know why they're picking these guys up, but they've got to protect Luciano, Matos, I believe Bishop, and Wilson, because if they expose those guys,
there's a couple other guys too.
If they expose those guys to they have to be added to the 40-man roster, or they'll lose them in the Rule 5 draft. So plus if they're gonna add free agents, so they're gonna be making a move, whether it's guys off the 40 that are on the big league club or guys on the back end of the 40. They're definitely moving guys, and you're going to see guys that were just picked up DFA. No doubt about it. I don't know why they picked, but they're going to DFA them so they clear waivers, and then they stash them down in the minor leagues for further depth. That's kind of fun.
By the way, for any of you guys out there, big Giants fans, you guys know, I'm a big Giants guy. So if the Giants do something major and it's not during like a Niners Sunday where I'm all engaged in the Niners and we're all busy doing Niner stuff, we'll go live. So if they trade for Javi Baez, I'll call Ryan, Danny, we'll go live. If they sign Aaron Judge, so just look for that. If the Giants make any move, know that we'll be going live unless it's during the Niner game. If it's during the Niner game, we'll have to wait till after the Niner game because we're busy doing that stuff. But guys, that's gonna do it. You got a final thought on the night? Rye, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times on the live stream, but
I'm absolutely spacing out a little bit here, trying to get.
I knew nothing about the ambush until Sean Proctor contacted me about 5 minutes before the show, but anyway,
I mean, it's I'll tell you what, I'm a little butthurt. I'm a little butthurt about it, but like whatever.
It'll blow over. No one's gonna remember it. Believe me, it'll be a joke someday.
Yeah,
because it'll be just turn it into a joke because
just make sure you're good. Do right by Calba. I think everything will be fine. It's not at the end of the day. It doesn't really matter. But Proctor's 9-0. And he's 9-0 for a reason, because he notices everything.
Jesus Christ,
absolutely everything.
Dude, it was a marginal pickup. I mean, I'm not even going to say drag anyone back in here. But it's just like a marginal decision by a team that's clear. I mean, I'm not affecting anyone. I'm two wins the whole season. There's never anything done to like change the outcome of any of these scores or anything that actually
you're not sending yourself to the playoffs, but maybe give Calba another victory because he maybe he's headed to the playoffs.
What does that do for Calba? Let me look at the standings here. He is 4-5, so he'll go to 5-4. That will put him in the
that might put him in the playoffs.
Well, that moves him into with his points, it moves him into 5th place. It bumps
Romo says it's all good, right? You do great work, Romo 2001. There you go.
It was
All
just
right.
it was such a bad vibe too, because I'm like, okay, I'm grinding all this editing, trying to get it in before midnight. And it's like, all right, you know what? This is too much. This is kind of giving me a headache. I'm just gonna sit back and relax and jump on the show for a little bit, mess around. And then I thought that we were about to do like a 4-way awesome trade or something. And then I was just golded in front of Jordan Elliott.
Proctor calls and he's like, dude, what's up with your fantasy league? I'm like, what do you mean what's up with my fantasy league? He's like, I got issues with Ryan and the moves and the commissioner and this and that. I'm like, dude, we'll have it out on the live stream. Go ahead, bring it in. Oh, man. All right. Well, anyway, good stuff. Go Warriors. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow night after the game.
Okay.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me, getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need to hassle. Yeah, we ain't never fall back.